Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Amateur Arena presented by AOE, where we get some of the best prospects in the amateur scene to come and prove themselves for coaches and scouts alike and show off their skills in hopes of moving up to the academy or professional level. My name is Hawk, here to host the Analyst Desk, and joining me are two of the greatest minds in the scene. It is, of course, Coach Koso and Prussian here joining me. How are you guys doing tonight?
Hey man, doing good. Thanks for the intro.
I'm great.
Awesome. Glad to hear it. And I'm just going to be honest. We've got a great matchup queued up tonight. It is going to be Team 1 consisting of Dragoon, Jason Jungle, DNA, Lynx, and Breezy up against Team 2 consisting of Srtty, Perry, Shochi, Minui, and Winter. Straight up, I'm just going to toss it right to Koso. Who are you looking at on these two teams to maybe be standout performers?
I think definitely on the red side. I'm not sure if they start red side, but Srtty's team definitely looks stronger mechanically and through experience. I've seen them perform better in these little events. So I'm looking at them to take maybe the 2-1 victory. I think top side of the map is going to be really important for both. Barry is very mechanical. He's still a young player, right? So him impacting top side with Winter's map impact and map movements, which are pretty significant, as well as Breezy. But I think the top three of top jungle and support on the right team is going to be stronger in that skirmishing side. So I'm looking forward to see how they combat each other on that top side of the map.
And awesome. And Prussian, do you have anything to add to this?
I think the matchup I'm definitely looking at that stand out is DNA versus Shochi. When I think of DNA, I think of a very controlled, methodical player who likes to stay around his lane and try to focus on laning, out-farming his opponent, just harassing, playing control mages, supportive mages, just mostly mages. You won't really see DNA just pop off on something like Yasuo or a assassin or a melee champion. But on the other side, Shochi, I mean, he is very well known for melee champions, things like Yon, even Zed, Silas. I mean, Shochi is a melee maestro, so to say.
Oh, and I love this too, building up the mid matchup already. And I feel like especially for the red side, as Koso was just talking about, with Perry being a very mechanical jungler, Srtty being an extremely aggressive top laner, I feel like Shochi might have the potential to sort of just pop off and enable this so well with the skirmishing style. But on the other side, a more controlled player like DNA might just be able to shut that kind of thing down. But as we are just a couple minutes away from the draft, we are, of course, on a new patch. It is now patch 11.21. Just a few changes here and there. Not too many things looking that much different. But of course, with the new patch might come some new picks. So do you all think there's anything that we might want to have our eyes on?
I think we're transitioning slowly into a more utility-based mid playstyle, but I think before we get to that point today, because we just patched today, right? So we're going to maintain the same volatility in mid where the utility comes from bot lane, more like Jhin, MF, those kind of champions. Although I do want to see players adapt really fast and go for something like the Jinx that just got buffed, just to test it out. I mean, this is what these events are for, right?
Right.
If you can highlight your prowess as soon as the patch hits, it can show a lot of adaptability, right, from the players. So that's a really good thing to look for as a scout. I want to see Lynx on Jinx. I want to see DNA pick his usual control mage, Victor or Oriana. Maybe a Karma. We'll see. I mean, the new skin is out, right? So that would be cool. And on the other side, I want to see Shochi maintain his volatility, melee matchup, skirmishing style. Not to change too much. The patch is still brand new, so he can still maintain his identity and be more aggressive. And that's really going to be interesting to see how both teams manage to adapt to this new style, new patch.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I love that point. It's about showing off. That's why we're here. It's a show match. It's about showing these scouts and coaches what you can do as a player, first and foremost. But now, Prussian, maybe are there any picks that you're not expecting to see as much compared to, say, Worlds meta, which has pretty much been, the main competitive League of Legends that we've all been watching for the last few weeks?
Yeah, so my eyes, Koso might be on the mid lane, but me, I'm all in the jungle. So just looking at these rosters, Perry, he's really well known for his Kayn. He's really well known for his Xin Zhao, two champions that really like to use that Gore Drinker. And that thing is pretty much gone. I mean, Talon might still be playable, but a lot of these champions are going to be pushed out and draft starting. So let's go to that.
Wow. Perfect. Yeah, Camille immediately getting banned out, taking that one away from Srtty. I have to think that's a pretty good decision. We've seen what Srtty can do on this. And then Yuumi. Thankfully, no Yuumi today. I feel like that's a little bit boring for a show match. So, Team Shochi doing us all a favor by banning that one out.
Yep. Misfortune, Yuumi gone. That's pretty typical. Yuumi, no nerfs this patch, and misfortunes were pretty insignificant, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, you just can't use W in lane anymore that frequently, or you just run out of mana. She already has some mana problems, so still one of the strongest, I think the strongest AD, most versatile pick that you can get on blue side. Graves got a slight nerf. I think the armor nerf is, decently significant. When you're removing 2 armor per stack, you will definitely feel it.
DNA Syndra. DNA Syndra and Ghostly Cat / Perry Jungle Kin, 2 targeted bans, and Lee Sin locked in. For Jason Jungle, that's actually crazy. I would never have expected that.
Well, and another champion that relies on that Gore Drinker so heavily too. He's been building it for pretty much the entire season. So I'm interested because it's been, nerfed a few times. People have still been picking it up. I wonder if with those Gore Drinker nerfs, it might not be as good as we're anticipating. But either way, Graves seems to be the hover. Of course, it is a flex pick. Could still go top or jungle. But like you said, Koso, those armor nerfs hit it in both places. So many AD tops that maybe want to get on top of him. Say Jax. That extra physical damage that he'll be doing. And then, of course, most importantly, when you're kiting the camps in the jungle, every time they're hitting you, taking that much more damage. And then a Lucian is the ADC pick.
I love a red side Lucian because they're not going to pick away the Nami, and you're just going to have Nami on 3. So they either pick support here and then give counter pick to red side, or they just let them pick Nami and then red side bans for Nami. So kind of in a catch-22 for blue here. And it is going to be the Aphelios locked in, maybe paired with a Thresh just preemptively.
And a question that I actually have about this, because we all know that Lucian Nami is such a strong lane, right? But could you potentially play Lucian with something else should the matchup, for whatever reason, warrant that? Like whether it's a Rakan, obviously the Yuumi is banned out. Like I feel like picking the Lucian also keeps some of your options open because you know that your prio pick and Nami probably won't get picked away, but you also could maybe flex to something else. I don't know if that's a viable option or not, but.
Yeah, of course. You could even flex the Lucian mid and just go a completely different bottom lane too. Right. And I was a little bit hyped for that Sona hover actually, but I think Nami.
I'm not a huge fan of the Lulu blind because Nami does well into Lulu and pairs better with Lucian than Lulu does with Aphelios. I feel like Lucian Nami will destroy that 2v2 unless DNA is taking him mid, but then you have a Lulu Lee Sin mid jungle, so it's not as strong as you want it. Or maybe Lulu's going top to combat the Graves, because that negates his passive armor, right? And then Lulu can actually bully him out. We'll see. We'll see how that goes.
I also am just thinking, since Gore Drinker got nerfed and Stridebreaker got buffed, I wonder if this is going to be a Stridebreaker Lee Sin. Especially with Lulu ult, it expands the range of the Stridebreaker for a big AoE slow.
Is that how that works?
Yeah.
That is interesting. That sounds so hard to get away from. Stridebreaker Lee jumps on top of you, slows you down, dashes, kicks you. Oh, that's a lot. But either way, Nico seems to be the ban. Looks like we're getting some targeted solo lane bans. Unsurprisingly, of course, with solo lanes likely being what's still available. Of course, the Graves could be going top as well. Tryndamere will be the second one with 2 bans remaining. Any particular champions that we're looking at that either could get picked up for these solo laners or taken away?
Twisted Fate's still up for both teams. I really like a TF Graves mid jungle. Just really easy gank setup. But aside from that,
I think if Shochi played it, blue side should have banned it on 1, 2, 3. But I think they know he doesn't play it, so they're leaving it open. Because getting a TF on red side.
Shochi Vex.
Okay.
I was about to say it. Shochi is really good at Vex. He is very, very good at Vex, and I think it's very good into Lee Sin. It's pretty good pick here. Although they can draft around this and just pick on immobile champions, I suppose. But then you're playing immobile champions versus Graves and Lucian, so. And
I like that they're not investing into like a hard engage. They're playing more for range against Lulu Aphelios. Pretty good here.
Yeah, and the Malphite coming in as well. Big armor stacker up there on the top side. Good engage potential. I'm super excited. This is actually going to be my first time seeing Vex in any sort of competitive environment. So I think this is extremely interesting. And I love looking at these bans too. We talked about how DNA, a little bit more of a mage player. So it's Victor, Nico that are bans. And then towards Shochi, it's 2 melee, Silas, Tryndamere getting taken off. But either way, Orianna is the response into this Vex.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, this blue side draft looks pretty hard to execute. You're not really having a whole lot of prio in these lanes. You have to think, right? Vex gets prio into Ori. Bottom lane, Lucian, Nami just get prio into Lucian. Aphelios gets his blue gun. Top side, Malphite's not going to get prio into that Trundle or anything they locked in. I was expecting maybe a Mordekaiser, but Trundle looks pretty solid here.
Yeah, you have to remember that these players are drafting themselves. There's no like big picture direction. Maybe some of them do have that kind of ability, but from what I see here is a lot of direct answers to the red side's picks. And you can probably tell that left side has a very easy to execute, very late game draft. But with the Lee Sin wanting to promote volatility in the early game because he's one of the best skirmishers, you would expect some kind of agency in mid and top to enable him, right? He wants to fight, he wants to have winning lanes. But in this case, we see that right side is going to completely dominate the priority in the agency and mid and top, even bot side. So 3 winning lanes with the Trundle running around, getting stuff done. I think unless Graves is going jungle on Trundle top into the Malphite, could happen. But I see red side taking this win for sure. And most of the fighting happening around mid bot.
Yeah.
Well, and I think it's so interesting too, because not only is it so scary as this Lee Sin, you don't have the most agency in those lanes, as you just said, Koso, but I feel like the skirmishing for the red team is also extremely good with Graves, Lucian, Trundle, champions that really like to just hit you and fight you. So not only is your skirmishing not that great, but the opposing skirmish could be very threatening. But with all this in mind, now that the compositions have been locked in, where are we sort of looking at, to be the first move? Maybe if you are Jason Jungle in this Lee Sin, how are you going to enable your team to get to those team fight portions of the game? And then if you are on the other side, where are you looking to sort of shut this down and maybe get an early lead?
Truthfully, for me, the most gankable lane in my mind is probably, honestly, that mid lane. If you can play around Vex passive, that red bar. Once her red bar is gone, she doesn't have that fear, and Vex is actually very weak to mobility, ironically, once she doesn't have that red bar. If you just get on top of the Vex, she can't really get away easily unless she gets her passive. So I think that we're going to have to try to fight around mid lane, but the disadvantage is you're not going to win the 2v2. So you just have to get on the Vex, you have to kill her fast. Other than that, I really don't see very many opportunities for Jason Jungle to get stuff rolling early, which is unfortunate on a pick like Lee Sin.
Okay, so any thoughts?
I think Lee Sin has to play through bot sides, through his Lulu Aphelios, to be able to get at least one scuttle. It's still going to be hard, but if you can get there before Graves does by skipping a camp or by doing it faster than Trundle, he could probably get one scuttle. Other than that, I think the red side might even get 2 scuttles because of the 3 losing lanes. I think Lee Sin should definitely focus on snowballing bot or wait till Malphite 6 so you can use the TP flank on bot lane and just force pressure bot side. I'm not sure how the Ori Vex matchup goes. I haven't looked into it that hard yet. But if Vex gets Bryo, then I think it's pretty doomed for blue side for the first 8 minutes of the game. But when they hit mid game though, when they hit level 6, they definitely have a lot of grouping potential.
Mm-hmm.
Right, so maybe around sort of wanting to get to that first dragon without losing too much. But I also do like how you bring up, the TP flank on bot side, because although Lucian Nami is a very dominant bottom lane, they're also a very fishy bottom lane. And, if a Malphite's TPing down there coming at you with the unstoppable force, you don't have flash, suddenly that's, you're making sushi down there, right? It's pretty scary prospect, I feel like.
Yeah, you got to think about the base damage that these champions offer. It's really strong. It doesn't matter what, if you have a couple of long swords, it's not going to help you survive the Malphite R. If you don't have flash, you're completely just, you're just dead in the water. Mm-hmm. So definitely need to see Malphite use his uses TP ult for bot. Graves is just going to perma push top side if he is going top. So you don't need to wait and match him because you're going to get shoved in. Might as well use your TP for added pressure while someone else catches your top side.
Mm-hmm. I'm very interested to see what this Lee Sin clear is too. Just to look at on the first Lee Sin clear, Jason really needs to get something rolling early.
All right, yeah, so we'll look for something spicy out of Jason Jungle, get something rolling, but if all else fails, group up, look for those teleport flanks, look for the early fight. And I feel like I'm already getting a bit of an idea from both of you, but just to make sure that we've got some sort of, a concrete prediction, if you will. Who are you guys taking in game number 1?
I'm doing red side.
Yeah, red side.
Red side. I feel like we're in agreement. Strong skirmishing, especially in a less coordinated environment with the amateur arena. Of course, these players are basically playing solo queue and voice comms. Some of them have played together, a lot of them haven't. And of course, they are all very talented, but it is a lot about showing off the individual prowess. And I feel like having a more individually enabled composition that the red side might have with their skirmish potential, with their pushing lanes, would lend itself to that. But before we get on into this game, any closing thoughts from either of you?
That's it from me.
Really excited to see a player that's on a champion they're very comfortable with, and that's a very old champion like Orianna versus a very new champion, and maybe a player who is comfortable on it, but I mean, we're talking like 10 years versus a few weeks, right? So, I mean, it's definitely something I'm interested in seeing for sure.
All right, I like it. We'll see if comfort or 200 years of game design experience will win the day. But at the end of it all, it'll come down to whether or not the red team can find the skirmishes before the blue side can just wipe them off in the 5v5. We're going to go to a quick break, but when we come back, we will have Finnick and RMC taking you guys through the game. See you in just a couple.
Can we bring to fall the giants? 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 We are the ones to ignite the darkened skies, the champions of the world that we defy. A solar ray of the few who rise up high, and we all fight at the
Welcome to Summoner's Rift. "30 seconds until minions spawn. Minions have spawned. Savage.
Well, look at you.
He gets quite a bit of damage, though, onto the Graves as the pillar comes through, and Dragoon should die here to another auto, and Srtty gets the kill.
I appreciate Team DNA trying to play aggressively there. They saw the gank coming through from Perry, from the ward, but that smoke screen coming through from Srtty really helped to set that up. And this time, Dragoon not going to get away. I'm happy for Perry, because if you're spending that much time and you still can't convert that kill, you've got issues. Like you touched on, Finnick, they already lost a double scuttle in what should have been an easy pickup with the lane pressure. So Team Shochi now 3-0, up almost 2,000 gold in the early game. This is precisely where they want to be.
Dragon has now spawned, and the bot prio is coming in from Team Shochi. They have the Trundle in the area, so they might take a look at this first Dragon. Although, they do have to be careful, because the Orianna does have mid-shove at the moment and is warding up in the area. Oh, nice dive, though! Minui gets the kill. And you don't want to play that low health with the Lucian Nami.
No, and a lot of this is coming off that early double kill that did go over to Minui. He comes back with the Noon Quiver, and unfortunately, Link simply can't match it. I don't think they were expecting the burst to come out either. I do want to point out with this bot lane, interesting summoner choice. Heal on the Nami is something that we've been seeing a little bit more of, where the support takes the heal, and your AD carry takes the exhaust, but in this case...
Oh, Breezy.
Okay, it's a berry instead of exhaust.
You can't step up that far without your ADC. Jason, meanwhile, on the jungle clear is actually out-clearing Perry at the moment, but Perry, he's got an assist to his name, so gold should be relatively even between the two of them. But he does now have the presence on the bottom side of the map, as we see a little bit of a trade top side. Dragoon does have level 6, though, so it has to be very careful placement from Srtty to make sure he doesn't get blown up.
Shochi has level 6, and they are looking to rotate more members up here. I don't think they had the vision, but really good read from Dragoon to just back right off there, knowing Shochi was missing mid lane. The Vex ultimate allowing for that dive as well.
Cross-map plays coming out, though, from Team DNA. They realized with the roam coming up top side from Shochi, they would not have mid-prio, and the backs came in from Minui and Winter. So first Dragon to Team DNA, despite not having too much lane priority in that bottom lane. It's a nice heads-up play from them. However, they still are about 2,000 gold down, even with that first strike.
And I think despite being 2,000 gold down for Team DNA,
force top side. He's got a lot of damage onto Srtty, but Srtty's got blind, flash out of the way. And Dragoon does not get much out of that one, but an ult for a flash is almost always worth it, especially if that ultimate is a lower cooldown than the flash, which Unstoppable Force, of course, is.
Yeah, I'd definitely say worth for that particular trade there. And I was just about to praise DNA's macro play, and Jason here really taking advantage of all the pressure that Perry has been putting down. Yes, Perry is down CS, but he's been getting kills. And instead, DNA, they're focusing for the Dragons, for the objectives, for the Scuttles. And I like that, because we know that Team DNA, they are a team that isn't looking to win the early game right now. They have really good team fight. It was touched on the analyst desk here. So if you're down a little bit of kills, down a little bit of gold, but you're stacking for the late game, you're going to be okay with that. They just need to make sure that the gold deficit doesn't keep on growing here.
On top of that, they have the engage tools. They have the Malphite, they have the Lee Sin, they have the Orianna, they have ball delivery service on either the Lee Sin or the Malphite as well. On top of the Moonlight Vigil, so that as the team fight is nasty and the late game scaling's there, they get to dictate the fights on their own terms. Team Shochi, meanwhile, no engage for them, and you know, they don't really have too much of a scaling option except for this Vex from Shochi, who can be a menace come late game, but she's going to have to be up against Mr. 200 years himself.
Yeah, I don't know if it'll be quite enough here to handle the Aphelios. One-on-one, I'm sure the Vex will be able, well, barring red-white, of course, will be able to handle that. But really, the engage is going to be an issue. And even for this Trundle picked up by Perry here, it's not that Predator Trundle that we've come to see who can force those fights by rushing in, getting a good pillar off. This is press the attack here. So he's got really good single target damage. He can focus somebody down, but he's got to actually reach that target first. And I think that's why we're seeing so much early pressure from Perry, focusing on lanes, focusing on ganks instead of trying to scale up and farm.
When we're coming up towards the mid lane, something that we were talking about before this series even started, right, was how both these supports have been playing a lot of engaged supports this year, but that's just been the meta. But Winter has been known for his map presence around the map. He's on an Enchanter this time around. We haven't seen a whole lot of roams, but coming in towards the mid lane, even as the Nami, is something to be commended, although Minui will lose a plate for it on the bot side.
And Jason is down there as well, looking for a potential dive. Good ward to spot him out. And Minui is actually playing kind of aggressive, 1v2.
Yeah, got that calling off, got quite a bit of damage. DNA, though, trading out with Shochi actually pretty decently at the moment. 4 CS, 5 CS ahead, so it's not that much in the way of gold, as both of these mid laners are 0-0 and 0. But wave priority did go over to Sochi early, and thus does have the plate, so about 160 to 200 gold up for Shochi at the moment.
Now there's a small CS advantage here for DNA though, and I really did like the Orianna pickup into Vex, because Vex, like Preston kind of mentioned there, ironically does poorly into champions with a high mobility, but that's very conditional, whereas you pick something like Orianna and you're never really giving Vex that chance to try and get that Gloom passive, pop it, mess you up, and the range that Orianna has as well is pretty decent. Vex's Q is long range poke, but that aside, it's actually all pretty short range skill, and we're seeing DNA controlling that zone, that range, to make sure that Shochi's not comfortably trading without returning the damage.
Top lane, though, is Breezy on this Lulu. They've got the Lee Sin of Jason Jungle here, and they immediately dive with Dragoon, and the first kill of the game for DNA, but it's traded back by Shochi as Shochi kills the titular mid laner of Team DNA.
Just as we're saying, you know, the Vex, it's a bit hard to get in range to control. You mess up once, though, as DNA, and that's a lot of damage coming down. Vex surprisingly already bursting out before the first Mythic is completed. Now, Herald in Perry's pocket from an earlier take. They can take this turret, and they can push and probably get a second charge off as well. Only Breezy responding mid right now.
Yep, and there's the charge. First tower to Team Shochi. Gold split between Perry and Shochi as they continue to make map movements. 20 seconds left on the Dragon spawn, and with the mid lane priority, Team Shochi should be able to get at least the vision, but they have the recall from Perry, so they won't take this immediately on spawn.
Yeah, that back timing, a little bit unfortunate, but thankfully Team DNA not in a good position to take advantage of that right now because that mid lane turret went down. And you can see that Jason taking that scuttle might look top to reinforce Dragoon here.
Srtty's got a lot of damage onto Dragoon already. Got the collateral damage. Jason's here. Want to be a little bit too late. He's got the Sonic Pulse, then the kick can't come out in time as it was a dash away by Srtty.
And that should signal a dragon take from Perry here. Instead, Perry circled around looking for a gank here. They're actually even going to call Shochi down to look for this dive. A lot of wards though, so they will get spotted on the way in.
Indeed they will, but it's still a 4v2. Nami gets the tidal wave. They got the exhaust onto Minui, but it's too little, too late. Perry picks up the first kill. Minui with the second onto Breezy. Orianna's here with the shockwave, but DNA has got to be careful. Flash bite out of Perry. On top of the subjugate as well. Does finally get the shockwave, but the Q from Shochi will be enough to clean up the kill. It's 3 for 0. Bot side for Team Shochi, and they are running away with this game now. And it's only at the 12.5 minute mark.
Yeah, they still haven't taken Dragon here. They should go now to take this. You can leave that bot lane. Minui and Winter will be perfectly fine taking this turret here. And this is that terror that Prussian was talking about. When you give Shochi this Vex, he looks very, very comfortable on it. And DNA, unfortunately, doesn't look quite as polished playing against this Vex right now. I still like the Orianna pick. We're seeing glimmers of the strength it has, but it's still not quite handling that 1v1 very well, and Team Shochi has done a great job making sure that Team DNA has not found that big team fight front to back, which they want to see for their Aphelios.
Yeah. Speaking of, engaged topside by Dragoon. He's got members here, but the TP flanks are coming from both mid laners. Srtty might be able to get out of this one as Shochi comes in, gets quite a bit of damage off of the multiple Qs. Srtty, he stays alive for so damn long.
No way.
Finally taken down by DNA, but it's nearly traded onto Dragoon in the 1v2. And Jason goes low, has to safeguard away.
Oh my goodness, the damage that Vex is putting out right here. And look at what Team DNA had to do to pull that off. They pulled everybody except for Lynx all the way up to that top lane. And for Lynx right now, he's not safe 1v1 in that bot lane. Minui has 4 kills right now, 4-0. Your bot lane turret is living on a hope and prayer. There's less than a plate left as well. So Team DNA giving up a lot just to try and keep Srtty down.
Almost a 6k gold lead now for Team Shochi as we approach the 15-minute mark, and an easy kill onto the support there from Minui. As DNA looks to chase, but they've got Perry around, so DNA will back off of that one. In the meantime, the second dragon was taken by Team Shochi. We will have a Cloud Soul on the Rift. And now Lynx in trouble. He does not have a escape route. The pillar in, tries to go in with a Midnight Vigil, but it's too little, too late. Perry Jungle ends up picking up that kill. As Shochi is up top, should be able to pick up another tower for Team Shochi. And they're running away with this game right now. We'll see if they can actually close this out, though.
I mean, that's pretty much all the outer turrets here going down. Srtty just taking this last one. Shochi
might be in a little bit of trouble. Dragoon does not have the unstoppable force, though, and Jason's coming in. Shochi gets polymorphed and finally taken down by Jason Jungle. It's a shutdown. However, only a 551, so not insanely huge amount of gold for Jason Jungle, but they'll take any amount that they can get at this point.
Yeah, a bounty is a bounty, and going to Jason's an interesting choice there, putting it on this jungler. I don't hate it. I mean, giving it to your Orianna, of course, means more burst, but at the same time, I think right now they're looking at Jason to try and snowball this 8 into other lanes. Another good collapse.
This is going to be a dead Srtty. He's going to try to get a little bit of damage off of him as the Aphelios moves back in. Lynx gets the kill. Much needed gold on to the AD carry for Team DNA. But they don't have the ability to take any objectives because neutrals aren't up for another 230. And Team Shochi, they see the play on the bottom side of the map. They're like, all right, we'll take second Rift.
Yeah, Shochi responding well, or Team Shochi, pardon me, responding well to that gank in the bot lane. You like to see it because the last 2-3 deaths that actually have come in for Team Shochi has been a lot of overextension without vision. If you take a look at the map right here, you'll see that the vision from Team Shochi is almost all on their side. There's one ward in the banana bush top side, or just past the banana bush top side, and that's all they had here. So they can't be pushing out this far without vision to make sure that they don't get that collapse on, or Team DNA with the shorter lanes here are able to just wrap right around.
Yeah, I mean, Team DNA, they need to find something quickly. They're still, now they're now 7k in the hole. To Team Shochi as it stands, who channel the second Rift Herald in the top lane. There should be enough for another tower. DNA getting flash upon by Minui. The calling comes up with the Minwin's bucket immediately back into the shockwave and the Moonlight Vigil to close it out. Finally traded back on a DNA though, but it's a big shutdown as Perry dives a little bit too far, has already popped the subjugate, but he's got Shochi around and now has Winter. Disengages in the top lane, but Shochi, he wants a little bit more. Decides against it though, as they don't have the minion wave. In comes the Lee Sin and the Malphite ultimate, but he's immediately blown up by Winter. It will be a trade though, back onto the enemy jungler as Winter gets a tidal wave potentially in the works here. He is rooted up by the Aphelios though, as the turret finally goes down bottom side to the split push of Srtty.
I want to point out that entire top play was a 2v3 and then a 3v4. The entire time this was happening, Team Shochi just had Srtty pushing that bot side unchecked, uncontested, and they took that bot lane inner turret while the top siege lowered that top side inner turret as well. Yes, Perry goes down, but it's a worthwhile trade. And if you look what they just did to Dragoon there, yes, Winter gets the kill, but it's Shochi's damage. This is that Vex damage coming through. This is what I was expecting to see once the first Mythic comes through. That Luden's, pardon me, already proccing here, and there's not magic resist. Dragoon actually kind of building AP Malphite is particularly squishy here.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of the AP Malphite pick this game, but I think you need to take as much damage as you can get, so I understand it. Transitioning out of the plated skill caps in towards some AP items. They are down quite a bit at this point in time. And RMC, I'm concerned they won't actually get to the point in the game where they get to dictate the tempo with their engage.
I'd agree with that right now. It is kind of dire here, and they're not looking, I don't think, for the side of Team DNA for a full 5v5 engage. That's very risky. I think they're looking to continue what they've done so well up to this point, which is get a numbers advantage, find those picks. And while they have been losing turrets and therefore losing gold that way, they've been very good at using those longer lane lengths to try and collapse on Team Shochi. And now the tables might get turned on them here.
They're playing towards the top side. Safeguard away, though, from Jason Jungle, and they should be able to get away from this gank. Perry, in the meanwhile, alongside the rest of his team, we've got 48 seconds on the Baron. And actually, with a 5-1 Lucian, who has the Kraken Slayer and Essence Reaver completed, they might go for a 20 or a 22-minute Baron here.
Yeah, especially if they can find another catch, another kill. We touched on the fact that Team Shochi doesn't have a lot of engage, but if they reach an area first and they can set up that vision, if they are set up in spot first, it's very hard to dislodge them here. And then you're relying on Dragoon getting that initiate, but we've already seen what happens. Everfrost actually for Dragoon here. If he goes in, even if he Everfrost, even if he catches multiple people, if they're not already clumped up, your Shockwave is probably not going to be sufficient to turn that fight. And when you look at what guns it is that Link's running right now, those aren't your team fight guns. If no Infernum, you're not winning that 5v5.
Yeah, it's got an Immortal Shield bow, though, so I should be able to sustain a little bit through these fights. Shochi finally taking down this top turret. They got the flea onto DNA, who has to run away, but now he's on to Perry. Perry getting healed up by the ebb and flow, though, and he should be A-okay. Playing on this top side of the map is Team Shochi. They want to prep for this Baron, and they have the invasive vision to do so, but it looks like the recalls will be channeled. Actually, a TP coming in onto this ward, but he finally goes in. Unstoppable Force does get Shochi, so DNA will be happy with that kill. But I don't think it's enough for them to take Baron, even with the Immortal Shield bow on the Aphelios. He's still a full item behind Minui on this Lucian.
I mean, you could threaten it, but the problem is Team Shochi is threatening your base here. And if you do go for that Baron, you probably end up losing that inhibitor on the bot side to Srtty's relentless pushing. Team Shochi has not grouped up very much at all this game. And I understand why they did that. I do think it is a valid strategy. You don't want to group up against Malphite and Orianna. At the same time, I do think if Srtty was at some of these fights, maybe they actually do turn on them. But once again, really good catch from Team DNA. If they can continue finding, especially Shochi or Minui like that, the next time they take that down, maybe Srtty's not in their base, not threatening their inhib, and then that means either Dragon or potentially a Baron for them as well.
We'll see if they can get that game plan to execute on that game plan, I should say. Jason Jungle, though, something we talked about is the potential of a stride breaker here. He did decide to still go into that Gourd Drinker despite the nerfs to the item, and now scales off base AD, or now gives 170% base AD and not 100% total AD. So it's a little bit weaker on champions that don't have as high base stats. It does have 8% Omnivamp, though. So perhaps he's thinking maybe he still wants to take it instead of that Stridebreaker option.
Yeah, I think Gourd Drinker, I like the direction of the change. I haven't worked through the numbers, so I'm not sure where the breakpoint is exactly for this item. But if you are going like a tankier build, I think it still works perfectly fine here. The straight nerf to me was them taking away the increased damage when you're lower in health. But for healing and all that, I think Lee Sin's going to be more than happy to get that Omnivamp combined with that Safeguard in a lot of these fights here.
Srtty down bot onto Dragoon, caught up in an Everfrost, but there is no one else here. Now the top laners will just duke it out ever so slightly. Still, 8k gold lead now for Team Shochi at the 22-23 minute mark. They haven't lied towards that Baron yet, as they still haven't gotten the pick that really leads to that, but this might be the change bit. Minui gets quite a bit. They go back in with the Malphite ultimate, but Perry is able to stay alive through the use of the Subjugate, and Dragoon goes down. Even though they got the engage, it's not going to be nearly enough, and in comes the Vex to Sochi, pops the ultimate, gets a lot of damage in onto Breezy, who's now trying to run away from Perry, has to flash away, but he is slowed down by the Trungle. Now smited up, has to use the Wild Growth, but this might be the pick that Shochi's looking for to go towards the Baron.
Yeah, and it's not even just the pick, it's the fact that all the ultimates were blown there. Amazing flashes coming out from Shochi and Minui and even
Jason
Perry to avoid
kick
that.
over the wall, but it's not enough. Srtty gets away with all of his health pretty much.
Yeah, and that's the problem, right? They're set up here, and without Malphite, you can't engage. Dragoon was the primary engage here for the team. Even if Dragoon is there without that unstoppable force, I don't think Team Shochi is worried. Now they've picked up the Baron. Dragon potentially on the table. It's not so yet, but you still want to pick this up. Can they stop Perry?
Perhaps they can. Pillar out. Perry healed up by the ebb and flow, though. The bubble is a swing and a miss.
Oh!
But here comes Srtty. Big collateral damage onto two members, followed by the flash auto. And in comes Shochi as well. They get the sombrero, but in comes the culling. And unfortunately for Team DNA, they just get stat checked the rest of the way. And the pillar is enough for a disengage from Dragoon, but it's still 3-4-0. With a Baron buff on Team Shochi, they're going to crack the base.
Yeah, they can just push in. You don't have enough wave clear on that Malphite, on that Lulu right now to really stop any of this happening. So Team Shochi, I think the death timers aren't long enough for them to take a Nexus turret, but they can at least just shove this in, fall back. Again, Dragon is right there. And you can always rotate to one of the other lanes. You see Shochi already starting to prep that bottom wave in with the Baron buff.
And contrary to your belief, I think they can take this Nexus turrets here.
Oh,
they do take one of them. Freezing Field onto Perry. Gets hit with a Moonlight Vigil, but unfortunately, there's not enough damage on that Aphelios as it stands. Jason Jungle looks for the Sonic Wave. Just get it on a Minui, but he doesn't want to take the Resonating Strike just yet. Finally does. Josh out of the way by the Lucian, but he still gets the kickoff. Unfortunately for him, though, Perry Jungle is there, and Perry takes what he wants. In comes the Vex of Shochi to get a double kill on the Malphite. Sombrero swing and a miss, and that is all she wrote. Team Shochi making it look easy in game number 1 of this 3-game block.
You know what? I respect what DNA was looking to do there. It looks a little bit rough the way it ended because it's 3 back-to-back fights, and even that last one wasn't really a sombrero. DNA's out just did not get to go off. We saw the animation. Damage didn't come through quick enough here. And you know what, Team DNA, when your backs are against the wall, this is a show match. Ultimately, it's about showing how good you are as a player, and they tried. They tried to turn things around. They looked for a lot of those fights, but Team Shochi, man, huge props to Winter. That Nami single-handedly nullified the last 3 engages, the tidal wave to come through. Even when we saw Jason Jungle get a beautiful delivery with that Dragon's Rage from Minui into the rest of the team, Nami bubble stopped everything dead in its tracks. They could not follow up, and then Team Shochi just turns around. So really well played from them, and especially towards the end, huge props to Winter.
Also props to Shochi as well. We don't think of Vex as like a really strong laning champion, but once he hit mid game, was doing so much damage even before he got the completed Luden's Tempest. And once we got to some of those late game, I mean, they were really skirmishes because there weren't really any like true 5v5 front to backs. Just diving in with the ultimate, getting a couple of kills for it. I mean, he got, I think, a 3-man fear at one point there too. It was very, very strong from all of Team Shochi. But once again, shout outs to Shochi and to Winter. We're going to send it to the desk though to break down game number 1 and get you into game number 2. So without further ado, Hawk, take it away.
Thank you very much, Finnick. And man, what a game 1. Little bit of a stomp right there coming through maybe by the red team. But we can't say that the blue team didn't make it exciting with a few picks here and there and a couple of attempted team fights. But of course, we're not here to listen to me break it down. We're here to listen to the, very high level coaches. So I'm just going to toss it right over. What happened this game? Where did it all go wrong for the blue team? Where did it all go right for the red team?
So critically on the early game, Jason Jungle, he full cleared all of his camps basically. He did 5 camps. He did Scuttle, Krugs, and then Based. He wasn't able to get anything done early. And sure, bottom lane got a little bit ran over through the laning phase. But even still, I mean, it's what we were talking about in Champ Select. This Lee Sin really has to get stuff done in the early game. And if you're not able, like within your first clears, to get something done, you're just going to get outpaced by the red team comp. And after that, it was lights out for most of the game.
Right. And actually, we were talking about it during the game. You were telling me like Lee Sin, maybe could have looked towards mid if he did a quicker clear, or even looked towards bot. Because, of course, there was a first blood on the bottom side in the 2v2 with Lee Sin on that side of the map, while Trundle is actually up top side zoning Malphite off the wave. So it's sort of where could the potential of cross map been? But in terms of what red team was doing really well, yeah, they definitely look great in their lanes. But Koso, you have anything maybe that they that sort of helped elevate them above their opposition.
I think what's important to note is that during draft, when your jungler is telling you to first pick him Lee Sin, he also needs to highlight what his champion needs to thrive. So like you're picking Lee Sin, but you're not telling your mid and top that he needs setup or that your bot that you need setup. So he really can't play the game because there's no avenue. So then you see a Lee Sin that's full clearing, and then your bot's dying 2v2 and your top's dying to a jungle gank. Because when Trundle ganked top that first time, it's very important to note that he used flash and TP to get back to lane. And that regank basically solidified the top side permanently for the rest of the game. Because then your Graves comes back with a Vamp Scepter against the Comet Malphite. Doesn't get much value against Fleet Vamp Scepter. So that lane's pretty much getting perma pushed into the tower. And then you can refocus your energy on bot side. What I found amazing is that blue side managed to get one dragon when they were 4k down. Even with that bot side being like 0-4 or 0-5 at that point in the game. And Vex having that perma priority, even solo killing at one point. I really liked what I saw from Shochi on Vex this game.
Yeah, for seeing the first competitive Vex game, I was very impressed. Shochi definitely living up to the high octane gameplay right there and really making things happen. I got really hype when we saw the ult in the mid lane fight into like the flash fear that didn't end up getting any kills, but they did get the Baron off the back of that, if I'm not mistaken. So was pretty exciting nonetheless. But it was also insane to me watching Srtty be 1-3 on Graves and then have a farm bounty and everything. It definitely seemed like the red team just in their lanes was outplaying their opponents.
Yeah, that's true. And I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. You said.
Okay, I was gonna steal it, and I was gonna say, and I have to highlight in their lanes because as the game went on, there were a lot of red side hiccups, especially in the side lanes. Srtty, a lot of the time, he would fog for no reason and not be there on wave crash in order to like push the wave in and then create like a more favorable timer for him. And there were times where Dragoon would just sack his wave. One time specifically, he went mid, and after Dragoon died, Srtty TP's late, and instead of pushing the side lane and trying to get Baron 4v4 and TPing in later and pressuring the bottom inhibitor, he just TPs early and he forces his team to engage a fight, which obviously worked because they're 10k ahead. But if I can't help but think that if blue team held on a little bit longer in their lanes and they were able to let the game last a little bit longer, could be a little bit of a different result, especially with how we saw red teams play side lanes.
Yeah, when a team takes that long to come online, but you have 3 losing lanes, it's really hard to get to that point in the game. Like we saw, they needed better answers. They had options, but they decided to blind Lulu with Guardian that just got nerfed. So at least if you're picking Lulu to get some, at least challenge the Nami in the trading 2v2 bot, maybe go Comet, maybe go get Airy, play more aggressive, call your jungler early bot 2v2 so that you can, snowball some volatility in that side of the map. But it looked pretty hard for blue to execute, and they just got, I'm not going to say they got smashed individually, but they definitely had a hard game to play.
Yeah, coaches everywhere, I feel like breathing a little bit of a sigh of relief that they are needed for things like drafting. Because I do agree, I think the draft from blue side was a little suspect when we look at, first pick Lee Sin with losing lanes, Lulu when the Lucian Nami is pretty much a guarantee, and then losing lane on that. But as we do look towards this second game, what are some adaptations that we want to see from the blue side and even the red side? Because, of course, as Prussian mentioned, it wasn't a perfect game coming out from them.
Yeah.
So I'll go with Team DNA. We gotta think about jungle and how to use it alongside lanes, because this Lee Sin is a pretty modular champion because he can do a lot of things. It's just like Jarvan in that regard, and that's why these 2 champions are picked relatively early. They can slot into a large variety of team comps, but the problem is if you're not able to use these champions to their strengths, whether that be Jarvan countering mobility and being able to early gank and full clear, or Lee Sin just being the super mobile gank heavy champion, or this strong duelist. I mean, if we're not getting stuff done, then it's just way too hard. Also, we have to think harder about these bot lane matchups. With the red side for Team DNA, I want to see either support counter pick, or I want to see a more strong bottom lane 2v2, because, I mean, I'm not going to lie, they got ran over by Minui in winter.
And Koso, anything to add?
Yeah, I want to see more well-rounded drafts. If you're early picking something that relies on something else being picked later on in the draft, definitely highlight that. Tell your players, guys, don't pick control mage mid, don't pick Malphite top. I want some winning lane. I want some control in the lane so I can play my own game. If DNA is going to resort to control mages, I want to see Trundle Olaf maybe for jungle next to him. Something more, that enables each other, that they can synergize with. And for Dragoon, I want to see a bruiser. I mean, yesterday he played really well. All 3 games, I think. He had the GP. I forgot the other games, but I saw that GP game was pretty good. So maybe some bruiser stuff topside, again with the control mage on DNA. And the other side can just draft the same way. I mean, I was okay with how they drafted because they had the lane answers. I mean, they had 3 winning lanes. You can't really get much better than that, right? Even though you don't synergize as like a team comp, if you can manage to get to 15 minutes with all 3 winning lanes and a 5k lead at 12, 13 minutes, and you're good to go.
Perfect. Yeah, I like it. So just finding a little bit more synergies between our champions, enabling our compositions. And I feel like, if Jason Jungle wants to full clear, going towards something that maybe plays better with his control mages could be the option. But either way, we are underway now in this game 2 draft. Syndra, Misfortune, Camille, and Lucian being banned out. I believe Syndra, Misfortune, and Camille were banned last game. However, Lucian being deemed a problem for Minui. Unsurprising considering what we saw out of him in Winter in game number 1. Running over the lane as previously mentioned. Minui, I think, had like 5 kills in like 10 minutes. I mean, that's pretty much doomsday scenario right there.
Similar targeted bans too. I mean, always got to get away the Syndra from DNA and the Camille from Srtty. But Graves banned for Team Shochi, who just played that. So I think red side Graves, I mean, it's always stronger on red side because you hold that flex pick potential until R5. And Talon also blocked away. And I'm actually surprised to see such a high ban priority on Talon because of the Gore Drinker nerfs. And Yuumi is locked in. That champion is now bonkers. I hate that champion. I hate that cat.
Do the cage. Get that cat off my screen.
Yeah, get that cat off my screen.
I want to see engaged bot. I want to see a rel bot to counter the Yuumi. I want to see something way more aggressive bot to actually put Yuumi under pressure so that she can't get to that game state.
There's the rel.
Yeah, there you go.
Oh, there you go. Okay, nice. So there's the rel. Perfect.
The only issue I see now is if blue takes away something like Ezreal and plays for like a high tempo like jungle counter pick that can try to hover, or even something with mid prio. Yeah, I'm not really liking that late send, for instance.
Yeah, I feel like that does. The Lee Sin, ran into some issues last game. However, I feel like the Rel has agency into this Yuumi pick, but we did see last game, the Lulu trying to roam around, get to other lanes. Like there was the top side dive that we saw. So on something like Rel, I wonder if Breezy will be even able to facilitate his team's early game fighting a little bit better potentially. But something that was recently buffed, Viego being locked in now.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, Viego is a super strong champion, and I mean, he's a great partner for Yuumi. I would have liked to see something more like Trundle maybe, just because that pillar is so good into Rel. Just stop the engage, or even into Lee Sin. I mean, the 1v1 is Trundle favored, but Viego, it's a good pairing with Yuumi, although it makes Yuumi a little bit weaker early, and without Ezreal being picked up, red side could ban it away from blue team.
Yeah, and I just wonder too if the Viego, I definitely agree Trundle could have been a great pick here, but in these in-houses, in these show matches, maybe wanting to try to show off different looks as well, right? Not just playing 3 games of Trundle, for example, when you can say, hey, I can play these different champions and do really well on them. Of course, you want to do well in any situation. You want to set yourself up for that, but I wonder if that is part of the philosophy maybe here for the side of Perry.
This is actually a good pickup here. It's going to be the Rel Seraphine bot lane. Actually ran that setup after seeing it in EU Masters. It does really well into the Yuumi lane, because whatever they pick there, Rel Seraphine is always going to have a jungle nearby them, so that they can all enable each other and win every single 3v3. They can even get priority in most matchups 2v2, so I really like that pickup there.
Yep.
Yeah, and the Ezreal banned out as well, just as Pressure was saying, so Team Shochi not going to be getting their hands on that. Quite a few ADCs have been removed now. I mean, Misfortune, Tristana, Ezreal. I'd expect to see, and Lucian as well, I'd expect to see one more ADC ban come out here most likely, unless they maybe wanted to go targeted towards Srtty. However, with Graves being removed, Camille being removed, I don't anticipate to see a blind Fiora. However, it has happened, or maybe they will respect ban it away.
I really got to think, what ADC is this blue team going to play? I really am wondering, is it going to be the Yuumi Sivir Classic, or is it going to be like Yuumi? I hope it's not Yuumi Jin, for the love of God, but I mean, that would be so bad.
Yuumi Draven.
Aphelios, maybe, but that sounds like a rough time in lane to me.
Minui is known for playing these weird champions, so I wonder if he has something sneaky up his sleeve.
Ooh.
But
So it's going to be the Jinx locked in
Seraphine
here.
mid.
Yeah. So it's actually not the Seraphine Rail bot.
So this matchup is actually quite good for Seraphine because she doesn't have to get close to the wave, and that is what Vex really relies on to deal a lot of the damage. Seraphine has great wave clear from a really far range, so she can actually fight the Vex for prio. She can't really do anything to the Vex inside of lane, but she is a solid matchup in a Vex, and it is going to be the Kaisa locked
It
in.
baited me so hard with the Vayne hover. I
I really don't like that. I really don't like that. What do you think, Koza?
Yeah. No, I don't like it at all. I think Kai'Sa's in a really weak state right now. You pair it up with Yuumi, it's still weak. So it's weird. It's definitely weird.
Yeah. I know Minui really, really loves Kaisa, but I mean, I look at this lane and I'm like, holy shit, man. Like, you are.
I mean, you're outranged, you're outpushed. You know, there's a Rel there that can engage on you anytime she wants. And then you have a Lee Sin that, wants to fight, so...
And it's going to be Perry Jungle Kane, and that's his signature champion ever since, for years now, ever since he was known as Ghostly Cat. I mean, Kane is this guy's signature champion, so I'm really excited to see this, and especially with the Yuumi, that's like a disgusting combo. And Poppy locked in R5, that's a really good response to all the mobility. Yuumi can't jump off if Poppy is engaging with her shield up on whoever the Yuumi's on, and it's really good into Kane too. So a lot of options for both teams, but just because of that bottom lane, I would have to actually give this draft to Red, which is an inversion of what we had last game.
Yeah, which is good to see, right? I mean, we wanted them to see them step up in the draft. I think they reversed roles. I guess Red side is easier to draft, so excited to see how these players match up now that they have the winning draft, to see if it was an individual skill difference or it was just a draft diff.
It's like solo queue, you hope you get the last pick just so you can counterpick your lane opponent and you don't care about anything else in a way. I feel like. But in all seriousness, I mean, I'm kind of excited seeing both these drafts come out personally, because I think we've got some spicy picks. Outside of the Yuumi, we all hate Yuumi, sure, but, we've got Kane coming through. We've got another Vex game. Viego recently buffed. Seraphine mid, Jinx recently buffed, Poppy top lane. Like, there's a lot of exciting champions here, I'd have to think.
You think Poppy's exciting?
Well, different maybe? I don't know.
yeah. Definitely very champions at least. I mean, I think that this game will definitely be a lot around bottom side. I mean, I don't know. I would have liked to see the Seraphine Rel into the Jinx. Into the Yuumi personally. Yeah, just because when I see Jinx into Yuumi, Jinx plays off her resets, and when you kill the person that the Yuumi's on, you're just going to use your reset on the Yuumi, who you're going to probably kill anyway. So it's not like the worst thing ever. Like, Jinx is still going to be able to skill for free in that lane, but it's just not very awe-inspiring, I would say, especially as a 2v2. Actually, maybe with the trap buffs with Rel, you get to throw your traps from further away. It could maybe be a more powerful 2v2 relative to last patch.
Yeah, probably. I mean, especially against a shorter range champion like Kaisa, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I actually disagree with you. I think it's going to be more of topside aggression for the Poppy Lee Sin. And then they have mid priority, so they can, since they already have like the 2v2 winning bot, I don't think they need to spend early resources like first 10-minute spot. So I think they're going to want to snowball the top side and take control of that, and then transition that to where Jinx is.
That's fair. Only time will tell. Just personally, when I see Kaisa Yuumi, I think, man, I want to dive that lane. But it could just be that where we just have really good gank setup for Poppy versus Viego, and we just send the Lee Sin top and we get the Poppy rolling. And when the Poppy gets rolling, I mean, Kai'Sa can't ult in, Vex can't. I actually don't know that interaction, if Vex can ult in when Poppy's shield is up. I have no clue at all.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know Kai'Sa gets interrupted. I'm not sure about that.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Kayn will get interrupted. Viego can't jump in. Like, Poppy's great here.
Yeah.
And I almost wonder too, if looking at this, you almost say, let's isolate our bot lane 2v2 that's hard winning with this Jinx. Just let her free scale up. You know, make sure that the Kayn's not able to get down there and cause problems. But then if you do go towards that Poppy lane, maybe you just snowball that, assuming that your hard winning bot lane 2v2 is able to do so in the 2v2. Right now, whether or not you want to play towards this Poppy with the Lee Sin, go really hard there. Just dive the bottom lane, take Minui out of the game. Maybe it's personal after the Lucian game or whatever. I'm just gonna throw it to you guys. I want some predictions. I think, Prussian, you already said you're liking this red side draft better due to the bot side 2v2. So I'm interested to see where you're standing.
I like the red side as well. I think top side aggression is going to be the priority for red side, and that's it. Transitioning to the bot lane, who already wins the 2v2 matchup. But if you're fighting towards top side, doesn't mean you ignore bot side completely. It means mid should work to bot, support should work to bot, and jungle should offer some hover if they ever see like big waves crashing or something. Which, you know, it shouldn't happen, but if it does, then they need to alarm the team that this is happening. Yeah.
Awesome. And so now looking towards this blue team, who seems like maybe on the back foot in this draft. What is your way to win this game, right? Because you've got a losing bot side 2v2. Viego could be vulnerable on the top side. Maybe this Vex, I don't know. Where do you guys think the attention should lie?
So I think in these long, prolonged fights, Kayn and Viego, strong champions, but with Core Drinker getting nerfed, especially on Kayn, I don't know if he's going to be able to outsustain the Seraphine heals. So maybe I could see Blue Kayn actually coming in here, but more than likely, I mean, I think it's just going to be Red Kayn. I mean, this is competitive, right?
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, Seraphine looks really good to this team. The only issue I could see is the burst on the side of Kai'Sa and Vex. So maybe we're going to look to get this Vex rolling, because Vex offers great counter engage from the Rel, great counter engage from the Lee Sin and Poppy, and just insane burst to kill the Seraphine, kill the Jinx, get in there with Kayn, Viego, get the resets. So I do see very good win conditions actually from both teams, although I do favor red side still. I think blue side definitely doesn't have a bad draft, although it is much harder to execute in my opinion.
Awesome. And any closing thoughts from you, gentlemen? Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Kosa.
Yeah, I think it is a bad draft on blue side. Not to sugarcoat. But I think they have to double down and play for bot side no matter what. And I think top side has to be aware that red side wants to play for top. So we'll see how they adjust to that.
All right, we'll see how they adjust. It seems like we've got the chips down on red side, evening up the series. But of course, only time will tell. In just a couple minutes, it will be Finnick and Random Minion Caster once again taking you guys through the game. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome one, welcome all, and welcome back to the Amateur Arena presented by AOE. My name is Fennec, joined on the desk by the lovely RMC. Game number one, a little bit of a one-sided affair for the side of Team Shochi, but this time around, they got a bit of a solo queue draft up against some more cohesive team comp that has shown itself from the side of Team DNA.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't go as far as to call it solo queue draft. Yeah, Finnick. There certainly were questions being raised by the analysts there about how exactly this comp is going to operate. But I do think, in a way, it's not necessarily the worst possible draft for a show match like this. It is a lot of comfort picks. I mean, Perry's well known for his cane. Shochi did just show us the Vex, the power of Vex here, and Minui. Well, the Kaisa is something that Minui has a lot of experience on. We're talking about more than, how many was it, 1 million mastery points?
He had over 900,000 mastery points on the Kaisa.
Yeah. A lot of mastery points there. So, you know what? Like, I think it's a good game to try and show off what you've got going for you. And if Team Shochi can win this, certainly will attract the attention of scouts and teams.
Shochi actually, a little bit of an early invade. He's got Perry and Shubi. As Srtty and Perry start taking this away. Jason's here alongside DNA. The smite comes in for Perry. This is a triple buff now as he goes and takes the chickens away as well. So maybe not a triple buff. Maybe it's a vert from Team Shochi, but still putting Jason Jungle on the back foot on that level 1.
Yeah, that's exactly what Team Shochi want to be able to do right away. Bot side, though, we are seeing some action. And this is that Rel Yumi counter that they were talking about on the AD here.
Yeah, and the Jinx, as we mentioned, has gotten a round of buffs, gets quite a bit more attack speed on the passive, so when she snowballs really hard in a fight, as the Yumi is doing as you do, attaching and detaching from Minui at the moment. Level 2s, though, coming in favor of Team DNI, as was kind of expected with this Rel into Yumi matchup, as you were saying, it is very, very Rel favored.
Upside, pretty heavy trading though.
And Dragoon flashes, flash follow-up from Srtty. First blood for the Viego. And resets before level 6. Hello.
Gonna be a bit honest here. I was surprised. Viego did get buffed this patch, but I didn't think that it was quite this strong, and I certainly didn't think he was gonna win level 1 or level 2 against a Poppy of all things here. Poppy, I know Prescian says Poppy isn't very exciting, but I think Poppy's pretty exciting. It has a lot of damage, especially if you are running, you know, a bit more of those offensive runes. Not the case for Dragoon here, and because of that, Dragoon has to TP back into lane, is vulnerable potentially to a parry gank from the walls, just running right through and looking for a fight there.
Chibi does hit level 3 a little bit after Dragoon here, so the experience advantage, weirdly enough, is in favor of the Poppy, just due to the nature of what happened at the level 1. And CS is about even as well, so it really is just a 500 gold lead at the moment for this Viego. But 500 gold is a lot in the early game. He's already on double longsword, and getting a couple of stuns in on a Dragoon as well.
Yeah, and not to mention the jungle advantage, right? A lot of that gold, sure, 500 of it is from that top lane, but Perry's jungling has given him a bit of an advantage here as well. And he's actually back in the jungle again, trying to continue clearing things out and maybe even looking for Jason a little bit here.
Yeah, he's got the better line, but mid-way priority is in favor of DNI. So both junglers show that might be a little bit hairy for Team Shochi. However, unfortunately for Team DNI, the Lee Sin goes the long way around, and now the mid-rotations will not be in time, and Perry gets away with a stolen chicken camp.
Interesting roam up from Breezy as well, really taking advantage of the timing here. I think that's potentially something that could make a difference in this early game, is the fact that Breezy on this Rel can continue to roam, whereas Winter on the Yumi, unlikely that we see quite as much map control coming out from this bot lane here. And it becomes a question of whether Minui can take advantage of that 2v1 with Winter whenever Breezy goes roaming. If they can, then maybe they can try and snowball that Kaisa. If Kaisa gets a hit, going to be a lot more effective.
The final Lee Sin of Jason, war hops away. Got a Q out for good measure. Srtty's here. Dragoon pops a steadfast presence, and Jason gets away. He is down quite a bit of CS, though, 35 to 17 at this 5-minute mark, leading to almost 1,000 gold lead for Team Shochi. That's all on the Kane and the Viego.
Yeah, keeping losing a bit in experience, I think, is the bigger issue. Your TP top, they're going for a dive.
Indeed, they are. Parry's here, but Dragoon, Jason, and DNA have made their way over.
Oh no.
So even with Shochi and Srtty here, they just forced 2 TPs for one of their own. So all TPs are off the map, but the first one to come up will be Srtty's as the lanes go back. Actually, this is a bit aggressive from Parry, who wants to stop this recall. Srtty's here. He goes in for it. The Viego's up against the wall. Jason flashes away. And Srtty's out. He's got the Sonic Wave. No Resonating Strike, though, as apparently Jason Jungle does not suffer from Lee Syndrome at the moment.
I'm wondering if they're going to try and interrupt this again, though. And I'm going to be honest, I was a little bit worried, when DNA teleported top, he had no mana. And if without that mana pre-level 6, the Seraphine isn't contributing too much to that early fight there. So Parry's still sitting up here. How long?
They really want Dragoon, but he has a steadfast presence, and Shochi's around as well. Goes ahead, Dragoon gets the stun up against the wall. The Poppy Hammer does not get the kill, and Srtty gets the reset. Shochi with the kill there. Oh no, that Poppy Copter nearly traded 1-for-1 in the 1v3.
Almost ain't enough, Fennec, and for the amount of time and pressure that Team Shochi spent in that top lane there, it certainly wasn't very efficient. DNA going back to the mid lane, shoving that out as well right now, and honestly, they kind of lost control of Dragon a little bit. I'm curious to see if Team DNA can try and take advantage of that, maybe go for that early Inferno here. If they're waiting much longer, though, Team Shochi, they're back up on the Rift and looking to reset a bit around that bot side.
Jason Jungle in the area. They're trying to clear out the wards. Minui's around, though. It's Parry. Might get a little tasty snack on Jason. Runs away towards Breezy. Flash in for Minui, though. He gets the kill. The chompers come out. Slow on to Breezy. Lynx got a little bit of a summon Airy proc from Winter. It is just a 1-for-0, but Jason Jungle off the map. They don't have the wave priority to take this dragon, but they do have now a commanding gold lead. 2K at the 730 mark, and this is looking a bit like game number 1.
And we have to keep in mind, the analyst does say that the lane should have favored the side of Team DNA here. They really should be able to do this in...
Parry just getting away with murder right here. DNA gets the root onto Shochi. Parry popping out, though. Tries to find DNA. Caught up in the encore. The follow-up damage is here. They get the round, but first the upper trespass. DNA goes down. Now Minui's here, trying to get damage in onto Breezy. Shochi forcing the flash out of there, but the Void Seeker picks up the kill, and it's 2-4-0. Dragon to Team Shochi. Maybe a little bit opportunistic, but still 2 kills. They're now 5 kills to 0. At the 8-minute mark.
Minui 2-0-1. Last game he popped off, had a 4-0-1 coming out of lane. He's on record, or pardon me, on track right now to hit that record again. 2-0-1 with this Kai'Sa. And everything we're talking about in the analyst desk was assuming things were even. If Parry gets ahead, for example, the lanes are going to suffer. The Kane ganks are very strong. If Minui gets ahead as well, it doesn't matter if Breezy gets good engages or not. Minui simply just out damages the fights as well. And Shochi on this Vex again, 1-0-2. Yes, the Seraphine in lane has been a pretty decent answer. DNA fairly non-active, interactive, just clearing out wave after wave, but Shochi's finding ganks, top, bot as well, and now suddenly Team DNA don't really have a great lane to play through anymore. They have to be aware that Jason is so far behind right now. He's not putting out the damage you're used to seeing with these Lee Sins.
Plus side, Lynx has the late game scaling on the Jinx, and he is only 500 gold behind on Minui, as he does have, or has had, the CS advantage in this wave due to Breezy on that Rel, helping up against Winter. But as it stands right now, it's not looking good for Team DNA. Conversely, though, Team Shochi, I mean, they picked a less cohesive draft, but it doesn't matter if you win your lanes. And they're winning 3 of them, RMC.
Yeah, the top lane, the one actually we didn't touch on too much. Srtty's really running away with that one here. Now they're trying to rectify it. Team DNA sending multiple members down bot. They are spotted out here.
Yeah, DNA's around. Dragoon getting stunned top side. They get the final chapter stun though. And they get out just fine. Shubi though, knocked up by Dragoon, has to flash away. As the steadfast presence did hold him in place for a little bit. He's already popped the Viego ultimate. Parry's up here though, looking for Dragoon, does not make the Q land. Shochi makes his way in, getting a bit of a Q himself. Follow up, the ult in, Dragoon goes down, Shochi gets a reset. Speaking of resets, we have 1, 2, 3 resetting champions in this game. Not something you typically see in a game of League of Legends, but you have Viego, you have Vex, and you got Jinx.
Is Vex reset? I don't even remember right now whether
Vex has a reset mechanic on her ult.
Oh, okay. Yo, on the that's super nasty. She can just dive multiple members. While that was happening though, bot side Dragon is being started up by Jason right now. They're also hammering on this bot lane turret, but that's 2 turrets now this Herald's going for. And because there's no one answering, I think they can get the inner as well.
Lynx actually might be in trouble for Minui. He's taking down very low. DNI is here, does have the Encore available to him. They go in with the Magnet Storm, followed by the Encore, but Minui flashes and cleanses away, and now he's fighting back with the damage from the Acathian Rain. The Dragon goes over, Minui gets out, and it's still a 5k gold lead for Team Shochi. Perfect game, though, however, is ruined with that Dragon take.
True, and it actually surprises me that Team Shochi still hasn't lost a single person so far.
From Shochi onto Jason, he flashes over the wall, but he's still slowed up by Shochi. One more Q ought to do it here. There it is, Shochi 3-0 and 2 on the Vex. That is some very nice mastery for a very new champion.
Okay, going into this game, Finnick, I had said I kind of wish Shochi had picked a different champion because you've already won on that Vex and shown us that, hey, you're really good at Vex. Now I'm kind of glad that Shochi didn't switch off the Vex because the Seraphine is, I think, another really strong matchup, and Shochi continues to deliver despite the rougher laning and the rougher comp. Shochi masterfully playing this, steps out, dodges that as well. And right now, the problem isn't Minui, it's Shochi. Do Team DNA have an answer to this Vex? Not something neutral, but an actual answer to stop it from popping off.
Shochi still can get grounded if she goes in with the Shadow Surge.
Srtty.
Srtty makes his way in onto DNA. They go in with the Shadow Surge immediately and get the Seraphine before Dragoon can come in with a steadfast presence. Easy kills for Shochi. Now 4-0 and 2. Didn't even need the Viego there, but glad to have it anyway.
Yeah, the Heartbreaker completely unnecessary. Now Jason getting chased by Perry here.
He's coming in with the final chapter. He's Red K, and he's got the root on to Lynx. Knocked back in by the kick, but with the Umbral Trespass, he gets the kill. TP in bot side, but Dragoon, he is too little, too late. Minui gets the kill. Perry gets away with murder, and now they want to dive out of Breezy and Jason. TP coming in. They have the Viego, they have the Vex, they have the Kaisa, and the Kane. DNA gets the root on him. Minui, though. Trying to kite back, but the dive in from Perry. Huge kills coming out from Team Shochi. And Srtty now 2-0 and 3. Woo! RMC. This is some next level plays from Team Shochi.
Yeah, I'm lacking a little bit of words in terms of looking at what Team Shochi's doing here, because everybody is just stepping up and dominating right now. It's not just like one person making all the moves. Now Perry looking for Lynx here a little bit. Does have to be careful. Can't quite get into range. And
Shochi doesn't mind. He's just honey badgering it right now. Lynx nearly gets taken down by a single combo from Shochi. Now it's to back away. Shochi decides not to dive under tower. They got the Magnet Storm on one, back into the Encore. Now taking up the tower shot. Finally, a kill goes over to the side of Team DNA, but they get the reset on Srtty. Dragoon comes in. Try to find his way onto Perry. Caught up with the steadfast presence against the 3-man knockup. Now diving back in with the upward steadfast on the DNA. Double kill now for Srtty as they continue to clean up the fight. Dragoon takes the blast code away, and it's 4-1. Team Shochi are unstoppable right now.
2v4, Finnick. 2v4 Perry and Srtty after Shochi got taken down there. And it's hard to say that that isn't a wrap at this point. I'm not sure what DNA can do to come back. That was Everything blown for a single kill and then just nothing left to follow up. And for Team Shochi, the question now becomes, how cleanly can you close this up? Yes, they already lost the perfect game when they lost the Inferno, but now they've also given up a kill here. Shochi, 100% death for Team Shochi here.
Unfortunately, no shutouts, no perfect games. You know, this baseball not playing out the way I wanted to. As Jason takes a full ultimate from Minui, plus the Cathian Rain, but that ultimate's on a relatively low cooldown with that killer instinct. Dragon spawning in 45 seconds, though. And then comes Shochi onto Dragoon. And GG's called. 15-minute surrender. Gonna be honest there, RMC. This might just be a straight-up outclass.
Is this our first forfeit here in the amateur arena? I feel like this is our first 15-minute FF. And honestly, hey, you know what? It is a show match. So I kind of understand where you're coming from. I don't, hate them for what they're doing. Like, what else are you going to show at this point? Maybe Team DNA can show like how they find catches, how they play from behind. But with more than a 10k gold lead, understandable, reset, go next here. And I'm out of words, so I'm more than happy to hear what the analyst desk has to say in regards to trying to break this down, because it was very different from the pre-game setup, which we were kind of talking about here.
Well, you heard that. Hawk, Koso, and Prussian. Take it away.
Good luck.
Thank you very much, Finnick and RMC. Yeah, I don't know if we have too much more to say about that one up here. I mean, that was pretty brutal. 15-minute surrender does come through. I mean, it's looking like Team Shochi is kind of just flexing their muscles, but I'll toss it over to the coaches to maybe shed a bit more insight on that one. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, since the early game, Perry just 3-quadranted Jason jungle, and
yeah, I mean,
I'm sorry, guys.
Oh, no worries. Go ahead. Continue.
Oh,
All
okay.
right.
I guess he's got to go. Fine. I'll take over. Yeah, so he was saying that he got 3-quadranted. The Lee Sin couldn't really have an early game. He felt pretty shut down after losing 3 sides of his jungle. So it's hard to say what he could have done. But when you look at your lanes and then your Poppy answer to the Viego top gets solo killed, and then your mid gets solo killed, and then your bot is actually doing fine, but you're not playing towards them to like help them be more than fine. It's really hard to find an avenue back into the game. And then the game snowballed even further than last one, which is pretty weird to see. As we did discuss, the red side did have the draft edge. It doesn't mean that the individual skill comes through. And like we said, I mean, if draft is better, but the players seem to have trouble playing it, then there might be some sort of gap in terms of the 5v5.
Yeah, I just feel like that game was so hard from the start. Talked about the 3-quadrant, and then not only was top solo killed, but I mean, it wasn't just a first clear 3-quadrant. Like, Perry Jungle was farming the Raptors on respawn. He was contesting the Krugs, diving top lane with this Vex that perma pushes waves. They're just farming kills on this Poppy. He was like 0-3 by like, I don't know how many minutes. He was 0-3 very quickly, right? And then meanwhile, Minui was doing a great job of evading pressure on the bot side as well.
Yeah, I mean, the Jinx rel lane was winning. They were up 20 CS in the early game. And then Kai'Sa got 2 kills because Lee Sin was trying to get the enemy's Krugs without having the mid being there. So it was just Yumi Kane Kai'Sa against the Lee Sin level 4. So he was like 1 or 2 levels behind at that point. And then they just got run down. They should have just focused on catching up on their side of the map. And then when they regain that control, they can go on the enemy side and visit it. If bot gets ahead or if they're in a position to do that. What I really liked from Shochi is that he got the Vex priority. I think it should be banned game 3. He's showing too much like agency in that any matchup. I mean, we've seen 2 of them so far. I thought the Seraphine would be able to hold some sort of priority in that lane, but it looks like Shochi had the better of him. So he used the CP top to re-gank after they failed the first dive attempt, and they just kept making it work over and over. So they did it twice. Lee Sin was still behind. I think it was level 3 on that first dive. So it looked really, really rough for red side. And they're going to be blue side again next game. So maybe they'll draft even better than the first game. And it looked like they were more comfortable on that side of the map. So hopefully they get better matchups. and actually play through more of the identity. I want to see Dragoon, for example, this game, I wanted to see him on something like Darius, which is really good into the short range that we saw, except for Vex. He would have done really well on that. And definitely something more volatile, because when you're picking Lee Sin and then you're expecting to get the Seraphine to have priority mid, and then you have a winning 2v2 bot, you want to fight topside. You don't want to pick like a neutral Poppy against the Viego. You want to pick something that goes in on the Viego and then has a support of the Lee Sin and potentially the Seraphine in a 3v3. So I want to see that next game.
Yeah,
Welcome
absolutely.
back, Prussian.
Yeah, welcome back, Prussian. And I feel like when you're down 0-2 especially, and at this point, you know, the last game, like, just go for it, right? Play something crazy. See what you can do. Because at this point, you know, it has been 2 tougher losses, I feel like. And being back on blue side, yeah, pick something like Darius for Dragoon. Get in there, get in the mix, just try to do some damage. But either way, I also want to shift some more focus actually onto this Vex lane, because obviously Shochi is extremely comfortable on the champion. He's been playing it phenomenally in these 2 games. And as you mentioned, Koso, like the Seraphine into it did fine in the early lane. DNA was able to hold his own, but it's just the pressure that the Vex is able to provide to help snowball the team seems pretty damn strong to me. I don't know if you all have thoughts on that.
I agree, especially with something like Kaisa. Kaisa goes in, Vex goes in. Vex has the disruption. It applies plasma to everyone because of the AoE fear. Mm-hmm. And after that, I mean, Kaisa just cleans up. Like, these 2 champions work really well together because they're both these high bursts, like dive. And like I just said, the plasma feeds off each other. Like, we have to get Shochi off Vex. This champion is just not balanced at all, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yesterday, Leo99 actually had the answer. He wanted the enemy to pick Vex to pick Zed into it. Maybe that's something we probably won't see it. I haven't seen DNA on Zed ever, I think. So that's probably not the answer you want to see him. I think if you want to just maintain your identity, pick the control mage, the bruiser top, the more volatile jungle. Pick to that. Don't pick any more weak side tops. And please pick a better 2v2 bot than Kaisa Yumi.
Yeah, and I feel like especially too, you know, like Shochi, again, has been playing extremely well. But if they're able to get him off that Vex and onto, you know, a different, you know, it'll probably still be an aggressive champion that Shochi likes, that he's going to try to roam around on. But if you can try to punish more on the waves by actually being able to contest the wave state, I feel like that might be one avenue to success, you know, punishing more easily than having to TP to counter every single play because the wave's already gone. But either way, I'm interested to see. So we're assuming Vex hopefully is going to be banned out. Maybe something more volatile up here for Dragoon. What do you want to see out of the red side? Maybe just different champions from them. They're not necessarily to change their game plan because it's obviously been working, but just show off their stuff, show off something new maybe.
Not Vex, maybe. I mean, that just comes to mind.
It should be banned.
I mean,
it should be banned.
Yeah. I want to see Shochi on one of these, like, I'm not saying Vex is slow or anything, but man, I want to see like Yon. I want to see like Zed. I want to see Silas. I want to see something that he can just
bring
like,
back 80 assassins and
go crazy on. I have to think like Shochi. Radiant's like not a very successful roster, but they did take a game off of Wildcard Red off of that Shochi Silas. Actually, he absolutely smurfed it one game, and I really want to see something like that again from Shochi, where he just like takes over a game, goes crazy. Perry's been playing really well. I like the change from the Trundle to the Kayn, like 2 very different styles of champion. Srtty been playing well. I don't really want to like encourage change, but maybe something a little bit less resource dependent. And both bottom lanes have looked fine to me. I mean, Minui and Winter are getting the better of these matchups, obviously, but I mean, good amount of stylistic.
Except no more Yumi, of course.
Yeah, I hate that cat, man. Like, it's a permaban. It's a permaban. Come on.
Yeah, let's get Yumi banned. Let's get Vex banned. Let's get DNA on another control mage, but with a jungle that benefits from that. I don't want to see any more Lee Sins. Maybe a Trundle, Olaf again. Maybe even a Kindred. You know, something that wants to fight. And on the bot side, more engaged stuff. Maybe Leona. Maybe a Braum even to pair up with the strong jungle mid side. If you have control mage mid and then you have a jungle that wants to fight early, then you can pair it up with a Braum bot. Maybe don't blind it because the mage answers to that are pretty significant this patch. And then on the top side, like I said, Dragoon volatile matchup, goes Bruiser, and hopefully gets a counter matchup or something that he can thrive in, and then see how these teams go again. Game 3.
Yeah, I'm here on the analyst desk. We want to see some blood while we're watching these games. I'm sure Finnick and RMC, they feel the same way. They want to see kills, you know, and not all to one team. I think it was almost a perfect game in this last game, except for the one Infernal Drake. Yeah, like just, you know, a little bit of action either way. But I do believe this game 1 draft is just a couple of seconds away. So, you know, we want any more bold predictions. If you guys want to show, I don't know, your profit skills right now, I'll give you time for just a couple more, you know, remarks before we get underway with that.
You want us to predict pre-draft?
Yeah, not winner for the teams, but like
The picks?
yeah, I guess I asked you about new picks, but I don't know any other just remarks about draft before we get down into it.
I hope we don't see Lee Sin again. That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
No Lee Sin,
understandable.
no Yumi, no Vex. So these 3 champs out of the game. I want to see Viego again, actually. I didn't get to see him play like in a neutral game state. It was pretty one-sided. So I want to see how he does in a game that goes even. So like him fighting for like a first objective when he's 0-0-0, right? Not like, you know, 5-0, getting all those resources topside. So I'm not sure what blue side's gonna pick. I hope it's something maybe like a Leona first pick into fighting champions. Like I said, control mage mid again. It could be the Victor, it could be the Ori. I wouldn't mind seeing like a Karma Seraphine either. So we'll see. We'll see what they pick. There's no way I can predict what these guys will play, but they've been playing different stuff every game, which I highly encourage.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see it. Hopefully, it's like an even playground there on game 3.
Awesome. Love to hear from both of you. Well, turns out we got baited. We have a couple more players, you know, just going to the bathroom, grabbing a snack and everything. So y'all could do the same. We are going to just jump over to a quick break. Give everyone time to marinate on this game 3. But when we do come back, we will have the draft up here. We'll be back to the analyst test. So see you all in just a few. And welcome back to the amateur arena here. We've got game number 3 draft queued up and ready, and we're already underway with it. Unsurprisingly, Camille is the first ban, and I'd expect some similar bans to follow. Yumi, fortunately, banned out. Kane as well, actually. Respect
Nice.
banned away.
A lot of the, I don't want to say one tricks, but I mean, all of the champions that Team Shochi is known for, I mean, Camille, Kane, I mean, at this point, you might as well ban Syndra too, right? Wait. Oh, wait.
Here it is. Yeah,
I'm getting everything mixed up. But yeah, probably Vex here. I mean, come on, please. Don't let Shochi. Oh, no.
Blanc. Okay, maybe they're planning on first picking it for DNA? I mean...
Hey, it could be actually. I mean, you could flex it support, right? So it could be a first pick blue side.
I wonder
Or-
if Shochi would
Both
play.
players can play it. Oh, okay.
Okay,
okay.
well, the Lucian
Okay,
prio. Interesting. Well, Lucian is priority. I also wonder, I mean, maybe the gentleman's agreement, no Vex game 3, that kind of thing, who knows? But either way, I would expect to see that one coming out if that's not the case, because Shochi has dominated on it 2 straight games.
Yeah, I mean, I still want to see these players on different champions, even though they have dominated, and it's still open for them, and it's a strong pick. You want to see different things from each player.
Right.
Yep, and this time, Perry is playing the Lee Sin jungle.
Yeah. yeah.
Perry saying anything you can do, I can do better, maybe.
Maybe. I mean, Jason did not look happy on that Lee Sin, so I wonder if maybe it is. And Misfortune locked in. Man, that champion is still broken. So actually,
Yeah.
I'm really liking this red side draft so far. Even if Nami gets locked in, I'm sure we can still find a better support to pair MF with.
Yeah, and remember, Misfortune was actually banned in the first 2 games by Team DNA. So this is the first time it's been available. It is picked up, but it seems like the Lucian is the priority anyway. Maybe they think that they can take the matchup, but a Rek'Sai counter pick to the Lee Sin. That is spicy.
So Rek'Sai is Jason Jungle's signature champion. I wouldn't be surprised if Perry Jungle just locked in the Lee Sin, knowing Jason Jungle would pick Rek'Sai just to basically bait him into playing his signature champion, and Perry playing a bad matchup into the Rek'Sai on purpose, since those 2 games were so decisive.
That would be, I think, a Chad move coming through
I
from
swear
Perry.
that's what happened. I swear.
Or, you know, if it works, it's big brain, but if it doesn't, it's disrespectful, I feel like, in a way.
Yeah,
But
I don't know these players well enough to make that kind of assumption, but it definitely feels like a big balls move kind of thing. Yeah.
Darius banned away from Dragoon.
Oh, no,
and
no
that
Darius
is the
side.
Viego top.
Yeah, Srtty looked incredible on the Viego last game, and no Darius for Dragoon. I got so excited about it. Koso is hyping it up a little bit, but either way, Leona also being banned away. Vex, fortunately, banned out by Sochi, actually. So
Right.
they banned their own champion. Interesting.
And I
Okay.
think
Maybe he
it's
was
gonna be-
expecting DNA to play it, and he wants to play something else, but not against the Vex. Could be.
Entirely possible.
Engage supports pinched by blue side so far. Rel is up and Rakan is up. Those are the ones that are left. Rakan kind of harder to play in Nami because of the wave, but I mean, likewise for Rel. But
Ooh.
Oh,
the reverse
I mean,
engage support.
getting baited a little bit by the hover. Of course, it hasn't been locked in yet, but this would be very exciting. I mean, I feel like in this game 3, maybe Team Shochi heard us talking about how we want violence on the desk, and potentially looking towards a lot of violence if the Blitzcrank. No, okay, Zyra is locked in, but that's a scary lane.
That's
Okay.
great. I would have liked to see maybe the Seraphine too, because MF Seraphine obviously like well known for like you know MFEs. The Seraphine first E just slow snares, but Zyra MF another good one. MFE just sets up for the Zyra E, and it's just a massive combo with ults.
The
Lux
DNA
locked
special is actually locked in. She just got buffed too. She gets more
Yeah.
attack speed per level. She gets more scaling on her E and more cooldown reduction on her R. So champion is definitely viable. It has been, but not as much as this patch.
So
And, yeah.
it's a very interesting blind, I would say. I would like to. if Lux can survive these levels, that ult cooldown is so good that she can just basically ult basically every other wave and just get the wave for free. And I mean, what are you gonna do? I mean, Lux just clears the wave, so it would be very hard to punish it. I'm interested in seeing what Shochi's response is going to be. So many hovers, and all these champions are like Shochi classics.
Oh,
and
it's a Zed. I love this.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I feel like we've got a lot of signature champions sort of coming out. You know, we've got some set for Shochi, the Lux coming through, the Rek'Sai, like something different. You know, and it seems like just a lot of comfort for this last game. But Koso, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, this is exactly what I wanted to see from the start, from both teams actually. They're both picking towards more of their identity, and I want to see the Lux Zed matchup. I do think it's Lux favored. It's very risky to pick Zed into Rek'Sai Lux, especially post 6. If you're trying to engage on the Lux, she could just Q backwards, hit you there, and if Rek'Sai is always hovering, which he should be, Zed won't have any avenue to play the game. There's no agency in the mid lane, and then pretty sure that Rek'Sai Lux beat Lee Sin Zed in the 2v2, even if it's early game.
Yeah, especially for those 2 first early levels, Zed has no way to like farm the wave against the Lux. The Lux E is basically, unless you have boots or you're just a really fast champion like Pantheon or Viego, like you can't dodge it. Like it's so hard if it's aimed properly. So I'm really interested in seeing if Shochi can get anything done in this matchup.
Yeah, I also like the 2v2 bot. The Lucian Nami is a classic aggressive lane. They're not playing against an engaged support. They're playing against more of a laid-back counter-engaged support in Zyra. They do have a wombo, so if they get a flash E on from Zyra to hit Lucian or Nami, MF can just press R and that's a guaranteed kill. Or she can also press R on herself and negate completely the Rek'Sai engage. But he's the only melee with the Aatrox, but Aatrox shouldn't be like, one-shot bursted. Rek'Sai can, if he can get to press R. So I'm really favoring blue side. Finally, and I hope that they can actually pull it off this time, because they're all on their champions, So this is the game.
I'm really loving the Aatrox for Dragoon too. Like this is exactly what I want to see. I want to see like fire in the top lane, match fire with fire. I don't want to see like Poppy versus Viego. I don't want to see Malphite versus Graves. I want to see Dragoon on a champion that can really kick some ass. And I think Aatrox is like great example. Like this is a champion that can actually like control team fights and really like push a lead, as opposed to a tank that's just gonna scale up and just be a team player. I want to see Dragoon pop off, and I want to see his team put him in the position to do so.
Yeah, Dragoon has been popping off for the past couple of show matches, so this is actually the only time I've seen him lose that much in a row. It has nothing to do with like individual skill. He did get solo killed, so maybe some of the matchup diffs, but this time he actually has some sort of 50-50, and we'll see if he gets the better of Srtty this game.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I feel like blue side has the tools to just find the members of red side and just try to fight them and one-shot them. Basically, the biggest front line is a Viego or a Lee Sin. Not exactly the most robust thing when you've got, the CC chain of Rek'Sai, Lux, Nami, Aatrox flying over the top as well. You've got the culling and the final spark as long range sort of follow-up, tidal wave even. So definitely a lot of options. But when we look towards specifically this early game, it seems like we're looking a little bit more towards the top side, I would assume, to enable Dragoon for the blue side. But maybe any other potential for both teams in the early game where they want to be looking for their first play.
Sorry, so go ahead.
So for me personally, when I look at blue team, I'm really looking at this top lane, and I think Jason should try to hit top lane first, because I do not see significant gank setup or any real way we can get this Zyra down easy, unless it's going to be a dive and you're engaging from 2 different angles. Like is Zyra MF, you can't like play one front into like that combination. I mean, the plants are just going to slow you down. The MF slows you down. She runs away. It's just too hard. But top lane, Viego, that dash is super short range. Aatrox can follow. I mean, Rek'Sai is like a well-known like early game ganker. I think we can get a lot done early game there.
I want to see some stuff happening mid to bot. I think if you pick Zyra and you're familiar with the champion, like he is, he can play a pretty, he can have significant impact. But if you punish Zyra and the Zyra oversteps once or twice, that champion is going to end the game like 0 or 8. And I've seen that happen too many times in solo queue. It hasn't been picked too much in competitive because of the nature of the champion. It's too volatile. I think they should definitely focus on punishing it, especially since Lux has free agency against Zed early. They should look to get Prio mid, hover the Lux, and Rek'Sai just camp the Zyra bot, and leave the Aatrox in a neutral match up top.
So what I'm hearing here is that you've got a lot of options this game if you're Jason Jungle. You could go to any of these lanes and really try to make an impact, and just basically the main objective is securing an advantage somewhere so that you can bridge your team sort of into this one item spike to actually be able to contest.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to see blue side play towards bot. I want to see red side play towards top side. If they do clash, so let's say they both want to match the bot side or both match the top side, I think the Rek'Sai is going to get the better of the Lee Sin. He is picked into it. Obviously, he does better into Lee Sin based on his kit. He can interrupt the queue. If whoever gets the first jump basically pretty much wins that skirmish. And I do favor blue side to take this game.
Awesome. Blue side here for Kosa. What about you, Prussian?
I think it's actually really hard for these guys to kill the MF and Zyra later. Honestly, I kind of have to disagree, and I'm gonna actually take red side this game, just narrowly.
Interesting. Taking red side, not Rek'Sai. All right. I like it. We got the split death this time. I think for the first time this series, can Team DNA make the early plays happen and try to get ahead, get to that one item spike first and shut them down, or will Team Shochi just do what they've done the last two games and run them over in each of their lanes? Only time will tell. But before we get down in the game, for the last time, any closing thoughts from you, gentlemen?
That's it for me. Let's go Team Dragoon. Let's get a 1 win, at least.
Only concern for me is that there's so much physical damage on red team, but I don't really see a whole lot of like tanky guys on blue team. But if this Zyra does get shut down, it could spell trouble for red team for sure.
Awesome. All right. Gotta shut down winter is the name of the game. Let's go Team Dragoon. You know, I'll hop on for the little bit of an upset hype train. Let's get the 2-1.
Oh, yeah.
I'm pretty certain we've not had a clean sweep yet in the amateur arena. And who knows, maybe Team DNA will be able to keep that record alive. But when we return, it will be for the last time, Finnick and RMC just following you guys around on the Rift. See you in just a few minutes.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and bees of all ages, welcome back to the Amateur Arena presented by AOE Esports. My name is Finnick, joined by RMC. We're in a game number 3 between Team DNA and Team Shochi. Quite a few different chances to pop off this game in the landing phase, RMC. Who are you setting your eyes upon this game?
I'm glad you asked me that, Finnick, because I don't know if I fully agree with either Koso or Prussian on this one here. I mean, I'm not sure team fighting is going to matter here. Prussian mentioned, Minui and Winter on this Misfortune Zyra. Yeah. If they get up to the late game, it's going to be hard to punish them. But really, it hasn't been about the late game. It's been all about the laning here. And while Coach Koso likes to draft from Team DNA, a lot of comfort picks, I fully agree with that. Team Shochi has been impressing me with their individual mechanics, even in situations where I don't think they should be finding the lead. They should be finding the kills. They've managed to do that again. So I think I'm still favoring Team Shochi a little bit, especially with the early games that Perry has had. And I want to continue watching to see if Perry maybe can pull off another, 3 buff to start the game, early ganks, or whether maybe Shochi can show us something just as good on a different champion.
Yeah, I mean, we were discussing this a little bit towards the break, and I think you and I were a little bit split on this Zed and Lux matchup. You were saying DNA should be able to keep the range on this Zed potentially. I say not a chance. It's Zed. So we'll see how that one goes. But at the moment, Perry clearing up on the Lee Sin, a little bit more farm heavy than what we saw from him in the other 2 games as he is on Lee. Needs a couple more levels perhaps than we've seen earlier on. But Jason Jungle, I mean, he's on comfort. He's on Rek'Sai. One of the fastest clears in the game, just due to the nature of the burrows and the tunnels. So I'm excited to see how this jungle matchup plays out.
Yeah, and I haven't seen a Rek'Sai in a hot minute here, so I actually don't know what sort of the optimal build is. It is a Conqueror Rek'Sai as well. Back I was used to seeing Hail of Blades Rek'Sais come through. So definitely very curious to see whether or not Jason can find good ganks. Now, on the desk, they were calling for ganks into the top lane from Jason here onto Srtty, whose Viego is kind of squishy, but it doesn't look like that's the pathing. Instead, potentially looking for a early bot gank and might end up meeting Perry down in that bot lane.
And they have the Lucian Nami, so they do have quite a bit of burst damage in that, as well as a setup from said Nami. But it's really, really hard to gank a Zyra, who has a relatively easy route to hit, especially when all your movement abilities are dashes. So you can get rooted up potentially. Dragoon and Srtty, though, trading it out in the top lane, and they both get extremely low with no regen available.
I mean, there is still some regen in their kits here, but largely, yes. They're relying on the Duran shield, not huge burst. I was more interested in watching the junglers kind of scuffle a little bit there, trying to fight for prio. The fact that Perry actually skipped over buffs to try and secure that scuttle, or to successfully secure that scuttle, does mean that now Minui and Winter, with that ward in the tri-bush as well, should be perfectly safe from any Rek'Sai ganks.
Yeah, great vision control from Team Shochi. And especially when you're up against something like a Lucian Nami, who with jungle pressure can become a kill threat very, very quickly. Playing the safety, making sure everything is going as it needs to. However, Winter steps a bit too far up, nearly gets bursted down by Lynx. Summoner heal blown by Minui as a flash was not used. I thought I heard a flash sound effect. My ears are playing tricks on me.
From both the AD carries here, but Winter actually opting to stay around right now, very low on health. I am very concerned for this Zyra. A single bubble would mean you're dead, but I think they're also playing off the fact that Lynx is kind of low on mana here, and they think they can still poke out. They can maybe still get the catch out.
Jason's coming in for a lane gank, opposite to what the desk wanted, going on the bottom side instead of the top. And Breezy a little bit late with that bubble. So Minui with the recall does mean that Jason will not be able to make that lane gank really happen, as Winter has also recalled, so they will reset the lane. However, coming in through the tri-bush, this is seen on vision by Minui. Even with DNA here, only has level 5, so no long-range snipe.
I mean, you completely zoned them out, and you can do that as DNA because you have that faster shove here now. Sochi getting that free push as well, and behind the turrets, Breezy getting caught out.
Yeah, it's got to be very careful. Jason, though, stealing away the Gromp, as Perry does the same on the opposite side of the map. Shochi moving up to join him. But the Lucian Nami got a plate, and now have a NCS advantage on Minui, but there's a big wave topside. Perry and Shochi are here. This should be a kill on a Dragoon. He gets a 2-man knock up. The follow-up damage is huge. Perry goes down for first blood, and Lynx is flashed on bot side. 2-for-1 in favor of Team Shochi, but they do give up first blood bonus to this Aatrox of Dragoon.
I feel like we've seen this before, Finnick, with the top lane dive doesn't go too hot, but Minui and Winter somehow salvaging things on the other side. This time, though, they do manage to find the kill top side, though they did trade back 1-for-1, and DNA just shoving that mid lane as quickly as he can, trying to punish Shochi for this roam, and so far, it is looking effective. If DNA continues to do this unpunished, I'm very curious as to what effect this Zed will have from Shochi. It was the counter pick.
Winter barely able to TP out of that one. With first dragon having spawned a minute ago, last game we had like a 10 or 11 minute first dragon. I expect a little bit earlier this time around, just because the game can be so explosive and they're able to do this. Gold is dead even though, which is good signs from Team DNA as they were never in an even position in either of the previous two games.
It's early time yet. We're only 6.5 minutes in, Finnick, so we'll have to see if they can maintain or even potentially grow that lead here. Now, the roam once again from Shochi and Perry. Winter clearing out the vision. I like this, but one of the things that Rek'Sai can do is spot out the ganks here, even when you don't have the vision with that Tremor Sense.
Winter's here. Perry should be able to safeguard over the wall, and indeed does. But Minui is now on 1v2, getting engaged upon, ignited up by the Nami, and Legs picks up an easy kill, but DNA is ulted by Shochi in the mid lane, gets the final spark onto Shochi. Perry's here, tries to get the Q, but flash out of the way by DNA, and some fancy footwork there. Kill to his team, but Winter's around, looks for the root, does in fact find it. Light binding hits, DNA gets the shield. And Lux without a flash and an exhaust now. We'll take the recall. Perry is very aggressive here, though.
Perry's still fishing here for another Q, another Sonic Wave, and DNA successfully burned so much time there. It gave Lynx and Breezy so much agency in that bot lane. Plates as well, and they're setting up for another dive.
Gets the full damage. Jason is here. Minui knocked up by the Rek'Sai, and Jason with that kill credit. This should be enough for actually first tower as Winter is around. Does get a root though on a Jason, has to run away. Get a plate. Winter dodges out the bubble, but meanwhile top side, Perry is on to Dragoon alongside Srtty. They got the ultimate out of Dragoon. That World Ender is off cooldown now. And I like this early executioner's calling from Srtty. Kind of required when you're up against an Aatrox in lane.
And Dragoon, I mean, on the AD here, they were saying that they wanted to see Dragoon on a more lane-dominant champion, something that had a bit more agency, and I've got to say, it's working out. Sure, I like the execution is calling from Srtty. Srtty is winning in CS, but Dragoon is having impact, is not getting dove quite as freely this time. And even if you're down, 20 CS, later in the team fights, this Aatrox can still have a lot of impact if ever the likes of Team Shochi are grouped up, if ever he can find backlane access onto this Misfortune or Zyra, going to be absolutely huge.
Also, the split push pressure from the Aatrox is something to be mentioned as well, right? Not a bad split pusher by any means, and after a certain point, Viego really just wants to be in fights, so this can be a side lane threat come later in the game that we should look forward to, perhaps, from Dragoon.
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure if he necessarily wins the 1v1, and I think a lot of it will come down to, is jungle pressure coming? Can they kind of help Dragoon to get that lead, or will Srtty continue to snowball that lead and become a bigger monster than can be handled in the split push? Surprisingly, 9.5 minutes now, neither Dragon nor Herald have been taken here. I do expect to start seeing some setup. Winter is 6, Minui is 6, and this Stranglethorn's bullet time combination here was something the desk was expecting to have great impact in this game.
Yeah, and as we look at these trades topside, the Viego from Srtty, he's holding onto that dash for the Infernal Chains, so Dragoon's not able to sustain too much off of that. Bot lane priority, though, for Team Shochi. They start up the Dragon at the 10-minute mark as Srtty tries to run away. There's a little bit of positioning towards this Dragon. This might just be the fight. 800 health on the Dragon, taken away by Minui, and they dodge out. Lynx here with the ultimate, and Perry nearly gets taken down by the final spark as Jason dashes in, gets the knock up and the kill. Now Winter has to flash away. He's ignited, but in comes Jason. The Zed's back in with the X though, and Jason should fall to that, so it's 2 for 1, but the Dragon does go over to Team Shochi.
Yeah, a bit of a trade here, and honestly, I'm not that big a fan of this Cloud Drake here, so I think getting the extra kill is going to be worth it for the side of Team DNA. And Jason now, 3 kills under his belt. We've seen Perry take over games quite early on with a couple of kills on that Kane. Can Jason do the same here? He's been set up for success.
Out of the Viego, flash out of Dragoon to dodge out the ultimate. Srtty has to flash.
Yeah, really tight fights coming in top side, and I'm going to go back to Harbinger Jason, because Prowler's Claw got picked up, and hey, maybe you go for the top side, maybe you look for
Oh no,
Srtty there.
Srtty in trouble once again from Dragoon. Dodges into the miss. Dragoon though. That's an extra movement ability. Jason's here. Dodges over the wall. Oh, final spark. Swing and a miss. Barely out of range.
Whoa,
And Srtty's out.
30 mil?
Yeah.
Tickled by that. If that final spark had just a bit more range. I've never thought I'd say that. If final spark had more range, that already has way too much range there. Really clutch. And I think this is what we've seen a lot from Srtty in Amateur Arena, is his ability to lane extremely, incredibly well, dominate that way and draw attention. Now, speaking of attention, Perry, bot side.
Looking for the dive here. Gets the kick. Links with the bullet time. Dodge out from Minui. They're onto the tower.
They're just chipping away at this one. I mean, they're effectively zoning out, and they've called Shochi down as well from the mid lane. So Lynx and Breezy just have to leave and forfeit this turret right here. But on the other side, Jason did pick up Herald, so they are able to answer back. Not immediate turrets, but down the road here, they should be able to find themselves a turret of their own.
Yep. Taking up the plates in that bottom lane as the Rift Herald gets called. Winter, though, immediately caught up in a bubble plus the tidal wave, but the calling does not come in nearly enough time. First tower does go down into the mid lane.
Wow.
Two Team DNA, though, with the engage from Shobi is a swing and a miss, and Dragoon's there. DNA gets Perry, and a dive up against the wall. Jason goes down, and now Sochi is trying to find Dragoon, has to flash out of the way. It's 2 for 1 thus far for Team Shochi, as Dragoon pops the World Ender, but Srtty, he's looking for the dive, gets the ultimate off on a Dragoon, but the healing just might be a little bit too much, and Srtty goes down low, but not before he gets the kill. Trades his mid laner for it, though, and it's 3 for 2 in the mid lane for Team Shochi.
And the action's not quite done yet. Bot side had massive trades in Breezy, Lynx, Minui, Winter. None of them want to back down. Turrets kind of low.
Minui gets engaged upon by Lynx. Nice dash there. The ebb and flow nearly keeps him alive, but the supportal combat, Winter, double kill on the Zyra and gets away with a sliver of health, about 100 there.
Winter gives and Winter takes away. Yes, the laning's been a little bit rough for Winter on this very, very squishy Zyra, but this is why he picked it, for the damage to clean up after Minui went down there, and they do manage to trade a win in that bot lane. This game, Finnick, here is a lot closer than what we've seen in this series, and right now I still don't know who's necessarily going to win it. We've not seen that 5v5. It's still not been about the team fights. It's been all about the skirmishes, but this time Jason is looking much, much better than the previous 2 games.
Yeah, and shout outs to Jason. I mean, we heard from the AD, don't pick Lee Sin this game. Got it picked away from him, and he's looking very strong on this. Rek'Sai has got the completed Prowler's Claw. Now moving in towards his second item. Has really been a difference maker in some of these side lanes. And Dragoon, I mean, they gave him a strong lane top side, and he's delivering. Might be up against a 3-0-1 Srtty, but definitely not doing too terribly for himself. 2-2-1 on this Aatrox.
You know, definitely not here. I mean, this Aatrox, like we said, you're losing the lane kind of, but it's also because you're being dragged out to a lot of these other fights. And unfortunately for Dragoon, he's not been able to necessarily reap the rewards in the form of kills or assists. It's been Jason picking up a lot of those, but impact is good. Now, Dragon in 10 seconds here, and this might be the first full 5v5 fight we see. All outs are up and available, and both teams have pretty big team fighting ultimates. We talked about Final Spark as a pick, as a wave clear, but it is also an AoE spell.
In comes Srtty. He's going to be the front line for this one. Caught up by the tidal wave. Onto 2, though, as Dragoon finds Winter on the backside of the fight. The parry goes in with the resonating strike, but they get the final spark kill, and it's 2 for 2. Dragoon, he's in the World Ender, trying to heal up the rest of the damage, but the double kill is already good from Shochi. and it's 3-4-2. Very quick skirmishy fight. In fact, despite being a 5v5, the Dragon should go over to Team Shochi here.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're picking a whole bunch of squishies, and Lynx didn't even get to participate in that fight. Couldn't even call. He was late to the party and didn't have backup.
Dashes back, yeah, has the calling available, gets it. Minui goes down, solo kill to Lynx. Here comes Srtty on the Viego. Has to run away from Breezy and Lynx, as it will be an Ocean Soul this game. Very scary to have on an Aatrox composition as the mid lane turret falls.
And Srtty able to pick up that dragon there is a bit of a win for Shochi. I'm glad that Lynx found something at least on the back end of that fight to keep the game still pretty much completely dead even at this point here. Now, mid lane turret did go down there, so mid lane now is a super extended lane, and I do think that favors Shochi a little bit here. Maybe you can try and find DNA on a flank.
By DNA. Shochi's here alongside Winner, ends up getting the death mark, and an easy kill there. Jason's around, but a little bit too late. Got a Prey Seeker, but decides not to engage on the 3v1.
I love to see it here. That's how your Zed is going to try and punish that Lux, and you do need wards to be able to spot that out. One turret going down bot side here in mid lane. Lynx, Breezy might have to be a little bit careful here. There's a lot of burst damage on the side of Team Shochi.
Yeah, but it's a trade of T1 towers as Dragoon makes pressure himself on the top side of the map. So the split push coming out on opposite sides from these top laners. Dragoon currently playing on the top side because he does not have TP. It needs to be available for this next fight around Herald. Here comes Srtty. And they get the bullet time. Breezy flashes away. The tidal wave is true. The final spark a little bit too late as Dragoon finally picks up the kill off a nice void rush, and Minui goes down. Dragoon with the double kill. Shubi flashing out of the way as Perry goes down with on the way to Lynx. Triple kill for Dragoon. And Dragoon's now on to Perry. Perry goes down low. DNA falls though to Shochi. Now a double kill for Shochi as he tries to find his way under Dragoon. Knocked up. Triple kill for both the top and mid laners. Perry's back out, so is Shochi. It's 3 for 3, but triple kills apiece for Dragoon and Shochi.
Thank you, Hawk. Hawk, I think, called it best on the AD when he said that, yes, we'd like to see blood. And yes, we do like to see blood. So watching that absolute slaughter just happen there, 3 for 3 kill was beautiful. And what to me makes it even more impressive, it's again still not about the team fighting. The AoE spells didn't come down this time, unlike the dragon fight. It was individual mechanics. Perry and Shochi coming late to clean up the fight. Well, Shochi coming late, Perry was there at the beginning. Allowed them to just play janitor, and you could see all the front-loaded bursts, all of it went out. And unfortunately for Team DNA, you have to keep in mind, once again, very squishy compositions from both these teams. You don't have a peeling tank. Dragoon's there to kill people. Don't expect him to peel for you.
Winter, though, might find Dragoon here. Has the Stranglethorns available to him. Does get the root. The follow-up in from the Viego is around. They force out the World Ender. They move on to the top lane tower. Edge of Night completed by Shochi, by the way. As they go for Herald.
Shochi's 8-1-4 right now. We were worried that he would not have enough impact. He's having plenty of impact right now, but not necessarily in terms of macro state or wave manipulation. He was pushing top, but that will cost them the inner mid turret as well as the bot lane outer turret right now. And Team DNA, they're climbing back into the game through these turrets that they are picking up. Team Shochi here, long lanes do favor them, but you don't want to be giving this up for free.
Oh, and then gets in on the Lynx, dashes out of the way. Srtty forced away from DNA as the TP comes in from Dragoon to get the mark of death. But unfortunately, the tidal wave to disengage and Dragoon does not go down. The final spark nearly gets Shochi, and the void rush to complete, but he's rooted up by Winter and will go down for it. Still a shutdown, 900 gold on to Jason Jungle. As DNA gets engaged upon by Perry to get the Dragon's Rage as Lynx comes in with the ultimate in the nick of time. They get the light binding. And it's a trade of 1-for-1 near this bottom lane. 45 seconds on the Dragon, and the resets come through.
Picture perfect insect from Perry there to deliver that. And sure, you don't get the kill on DNA, but you did blow the flash. And considering how mobile this team is, Viego, Lee Sin, Zed, even a Gale Force Misfortune to get around here, not having that flash could will most likely spell the difference between a teamfight win and loss for the side of Team DNA. I mentioned teamfight because Dragon's coming up, and this one is going to be sole point for the side here of Team Shochi. Will also be the first Ocean if they can pick it up, give themselves a bit more regeneration, a bit more sticking power in some of these fights.
At the same time, Team DNA, they have an Aatrox. They really want this because an Aatrox with Ocean Soul does not matter if you have grievous wounds. Jason running away from Shochi. The Edge of Night does pop though. Dragoon looks on the top side of the fight. The Dragon has spawned as both teams move in towards the area. Jason jungle though on the bottom side of this as Srtty tries to zone him out. Does have the blast cone available to him, takes it over the wall, and they get the Desire ultimate onto Dragoon. Follow-up is not there. No, Shochi comes back in with the death mark, but he might be taken out of the bullet time. Rings true, so does the final spark. Shubi, though, knocked back up by the Rek'Sai, and they get the World Ender out of Dragoon, but it's too little, too late. It's 1 for 2, and in comes the Viego. Srtty gets the reset. Now on to Lynx. The calling rings out. It's 3-4-1. Breezy and Lynx, last members of their team alive, but it's now sole point for Team Shochi. Clearing the vision, apparently.
I am so worried for Lynx and Breezy right there. And you can see all the question mark pings coming down too. Why did they not run? They walked back in. It worked out for them. I don't know if I call that brilliance or luck at that point, but they get away with it. And I want to go back to that fight a little bit.
Oh, Shochi on Breezy. Flash out of the Nami, but he did not have Death Mark available. Pops the Edge of Night. Winter's here, though. Gets the root. Gets the kill. Electrocute proc. Flash out of Lynx. Flash out of Winter. But in comes the Zed with the Mark of Death. Got the damage. Goodbye. And Jason's now all alone in a 1v3. Soon to be a 1v4. Burrows his way out, but nearly falls. As Dragoon and DNA finally make their way into the mid lane.
Baron is up and available. You've already got the bot lane here of Team NA dead.
Knocked up, caught in the Infernal Chains, dodges out of the way. They get the Stranglethorns, and in comes Srtty. DNA goes golden. Dragoon, he pops the World Ender, but they get the reset out of Srtty. Life Binding hits, does not matter. They find the dunk. They get another kill. It's 4-4-0. Triple kill for Dragoon. Or not for Dragoon, excuse me, for Srtty as Dragoon. Playing a little bit of a switcheroo on me. As Lynx pops the calling. Minui ends up getting bullet time taken out by Lynx with the dive in from Shochi. And he gets the kill. And Srtty goes down to the fountain.
Okay, yeah, Srtty, not even an assist. No kill credit for Breezy there. And Team Shochi, they're just kind of snowballing this. They do have to be careful, though. Death timers are up. DNA's back up. Dragoon and Jason coming as well.
Oh, that's a lot of damage. They pick up 2, and Perry has to flash out of the way, but Jason's here with the knock-up. Perry with the ward hop over. Flash in from Jason. They're looking for it. They should find it. It's an ace for Team DNI, but their base is in shambles.
Baron. It's fine. Go Baron. The supers will take a while to get. Actually, there's one super in the base right now, but you've got Lynx just coming back up to deal with it here. And it looked dire for Team DNA, but that final spark getting the kills, and Team Shochi's greed might cost them here. The goal difference is not that wide, and this Baron will put Team DNA basically back on even ground.
But this is Lucian Viego as the primary damage towards this Baron. It does not go down all that quickly. 8 seconds on Perry. Minui getting caught over the wall in the Infernal Chain. Goes down. Dragoon picks up the kill. But Srtty is around. Dragoon trying to zone him out of the way. Winter's up. So is Perry. Dragon down to about 1,000 health. Finally smited away by Jason. The Baron goes over, but they still are 3k down. Srtty looking for exit kills. A little bit too late.
Perfect timing to get back. I was holding my breath because of those supers walking into your base. You didn't have any Nexus turrets to continue protecting you right now. And Team DNA, they get to reset with their gold in pocket, but they have to be mindful. Supers still pushing in. Flanks are being looked for.
Jason goes golden. They've popped the Zyra ultimate, but Srtty, he's very hungry. He wants the reset, finally gets it. Shochi, though, taken down by the calling as Dragoon pops the World Ender, but in comes Perry. They got the healing, though. The final spark rings true, and it's 4 for 1. A great final spark from DNA. A double kill for Lynx, and they push down the mid lane.
They still have Baron as well, only Minui defending, and Minui can't even get a bullet time off in the face of this entirety of DNA just rushing them down. Dragoon can just dive him, interrupt that bullet time, and can they end 20 seconds? No, they can't, but they can leave your base in a similar situation to their own here. They can take the inhibitors, maybe even threaten a Nexus turret.
And just like that, the gold's even. They have a minute 40 remaining on this Baron buff. Minui's up. And so is Shochi now. 3 seconds on parry. This should be enough for the inhib. They won't threaten the T4s.
Okay. Dragon. 15 seconds here. There's a reset coming through from both
Shochi.
sides.
Oh, Edge of Night pops just in time for that light binding. Got a lot of damage on that Lux, though. Shochi forced back towards the base. The Dragon has spawned. Both teams have 5 members available. But Parry, he's caught up on the Rex side. The final spark hits, and in comes Dragoon. He's got the Infernal Chain to dash out with Ward Hop, but they get the ult out of the Rex side. Both junglers now dead as Minui trades back onto Jason. DNA starting up this Dragon. The rest of his team is around. With no junglers available, they have to be careful. Srtty's in the Winks. The Dragon goes over. Srtty, though, he's hungry. Caught up on the light binding. This might be a dead Srtty, perhaps not. Shochi looks over the wall. Lynx goes down low. They nearly get the reset as the bullet time comes through. Lynx, though, he's popped the culling. Winter's here. TP in from Dragoon. They've got the Baron buff. They're onto Winter. Winter goes down low, goes golden. They get the Ring of Death onto Dragoon, who pops into a killing spree onto the Zyra. Minui trades out in the meantime onto the enemy Lux as Dragoon gets held up by the ebb and flow. 1-4-1 mid laner for support, but the Baron buff still up for 10 seconds, and the Dragon Soul averted for now.
And they've managed to cancel a whole bunch of resets here. Shochi's still looking for this red buff, and I think he gets it this time. Support for mid. Normally, that's a trait that you'll be happy to make if you are the support player, but because Winter's on the Zyra, you've effectively traded AP carry for AP carry here. Winter's just down an item, and both teams, I think, are going to be okay with this reset here. Granted, I'm sure Shochi's not happy that they lost the Dragon to the side of Team DNA, but it's only one Dragon. They are still threatening Soul Point on the side of Team Shochi here, and Baron's coming up in a minute 30 seconds. That will be the real test here for both these teams. You saw the last time, Baron made all the difference here.
We'll see if Team Shochi can regain their semblance of macro. They're on to DNA. No, they got the Death Mart. And that is a dead Lux. As dead as they can be. The reset actually not helping out Srtty there, as he takes up an extra tower shot for it. Dragoon's in the area. 2 minutes on Baron, and Srtty, now in trouble, dives into the mist. Shochi's around, though.
Will get spotted by that tremor sense there, so it will signal Jason to back off. You know that you're getting flanked. And Jason, let's talk a little bit about Jason, because 10-15 minutes ago we were all on Jason for being that huge carry. He was getting all the kills. Fast forward to 28 minutes and suddenly Jason is 5-9-6. He is an assassin. He has been threatening people, but Shochi's just been doing it better on this Zed so far. And for Jason, I almost feel like at this point you have to start playing a bit more cautiously because you are the jungler. The last Dragon, both junglers were dead, and Srtty's pulling everybody down right now.
Yeah, it's the escape, though. Weirdly enough, not getting the eponymous item on Viego. It feels bad, man. Winter gets a massive root, though. Breezy goes golden. Lynx is here trying to get the damage in onto the plant. And Breezy forced to flash, so an ult for a flash, always worth it. But it is a big team fight ult. The Baron is spawning 48 seconds.
Yeah, cooldown on that ultimate's roughly 60 seconds at this point in the game here. So for Winter right now, there's about 15 seconds time. I'm still okay with that. I don't think we see Team Shochi start Baron on spawn right away, and if anything, Team Shochi actually might just want to stall this out if they're not confident. They've got the vision for it, but if they wait for another, minute and a half, then Ocean comes up as well, and then Team Shochi can threaten both, and whichever one DNA wants to contest them, if they're okay, they can just kind of trade. It's okay. It'll only be second Drake for DNA. If you take Baron, you can try and push to end. Now, Team DNA trying to clear up the vision and walk in here, but it's in full vision right now. Winter?
Yeah, Perry, Winter, Minui, and Shochi are around. Want to get the kill onto Jason potentially, so that would set them up for Baron, but the moonwalk out, Team DNA.
Shochi's just still threatening, trying to apply pressure.
Oh, he's way too
here.
far forward. Dragoon forcing the blink away from Shochi. Not have to flash for that. And the inhib has respawned. They're onto the Baron. They don't take this very quickly with Misfortune, but Shochi, he's in the Winks. Edge of Night pops.
And the Baron is still hitting Perry at this point in time. They're trying to zone out. Srtty got into the backline with a TP.
Potentially, here comes Shochi though. He finds Breezy. The tidal wave rings true, but the Zed's already got a kill. Srtty comes into the backline. The bullet time does not do nearly enough damage, but they get the Stranglethorns regardless. Jason down, Dragoon down, Link's down, DNA as well. Breezy to fall, a clean ace for Team Shochi. They will take this a 3-0 series. GGs are called.
What a patient play coming in from Team Shochi. They drag them around, triple threat from multiple directions there, and Team DNA, unfortunately for them, what do you do when you've got a Zed threatening you on one side, a Viego on the other, and the rest of Team Shochi running at you? Somebody has to get exposed, and in this particular case, it was Breezy.
Yeah, just really, really unfortunate to get caught out like that on the Nami. He was looking pretty fine on it too. 0-3 and 22, 22 assists in a 27 kill game. Like, that is really something to take home. Team DNA showing signs of life in that game, and Jason and Dragoon especially stepping up from what we've seen from them earlier in the series, so props to them. That said, we're going to take it to the desk to bring you the rundown of what happened in that game 3, and then we'll have an interview after that. So Hawk, Koso, and Prussian, take it away.
I'm muted. All right. Well, unfortunately. It was a great game 3. We asked for fighting and we got it. But unfortunately, the result was the same. Team Shochi does pull out the 3-0 sweep. What do y'all make of this game?
Honestly, despite the result, shout out to Dragoon. He took the Aatrox and he put in work. I mean, he went to work. And that's all I asked from him. I asked, fight fire with fire. I don't want to see these little baby picks. I don't want to see the Malphite. I don't want to see the Poppy. I don't want to see the tanks. I want to see a man's pick. And he gave me a performance. So shout out Dragoon. Good game. Minui did well. I thought most of blue team did quite well. A little bit lacking from the Lux at points, but I don't necessarily think it's DNA's fault. I think red team played well around the limitations of that champion and the fact that, you know, you kind of need the setup, and there's not a whole lot of setup on the side of, on the rest of the blue team, other than, you know, maybe the Nami wave or maybe Aatrox just causing like utter chaos. But even then, that Luxel can be still hard to hit at points. So, I mean, good performance from blue despite the result.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Dragoon had a lot of pop-off moments. There were so many like micro, minuscule, like just outplay moments that he could have had. He almost got a penta in the mid game. Shout outs to him for almost pulling off that win. I really wanted to see more aggressive Lucian Nami lane. I don't know what's the deal with this going Guardian against Enchanter stuff. If he went anything more aggressive, they could have gotten way more kills. They still managed to get like some 2v2 kills, but could have snowballed even harder, could have played more aggressive. Just Lucian Nami is insane once you get ahead. We saw, who was it? 100 Thieves pull it off at Worlds. They played it really well too. So, a lot of hopes. They got crushed. My prediction didn't come through in the end there. Unlucky. But shout outs to all the players. They all played well. And I like to see the different champions pulled off. The Lux coming back into play from DNA. He could have played it better. He just pretty much shoved his wave, which is, you know, the Lux identity, right? With the ult cooldown, you reset, you have your ult back for the next wave. But then once he lost his mid tower, he kept doing the same thing without any resources, without any control, and he finally got punished for it. He should have known better than to do that. And yeah, we wanted to see more ball punish and more snowball on the Lucian Nami. But shout outs to everyone, good performance, and definitely a better game 3 than the first 2 games.
Yeah, that made it exciting. You know, we were actually getting pretty hyped down there in our own little voice chat during that game on some of those plays. You know, some of the dragon setups were crazy. The Baron fights, like you said, the almost Penta, and I do agree with you as well with the Lucian Nami. I mean, there is one instance that we can point to where Winter is recalling like 1 HP in the bush. If Nami had electrocute, he would have just been dead instead of recalling in the bush, right? Like the Zyra would have just exploded.
Yeah.
Also, I feel like Jason Jungle, again, full clearing on this Rek'Sai, maybe not the optimal pathing there. But either way, I definitely agree. I feel like in this third game, we got to see flashes of brilliance from all 10 players on the Rift. It wasn't a stomp. It was a very, very close game and certainly provided good entertainment value with a little bit of Fiesta thrown in. But before we do throw it over to the interview, any closing thoughts from you, gentlemen?
I thought that these 3 games, very good progression throughout them, actually. You know, you had like the first game, which wasn't very close, but I mean, I would struggle to say it was a complete, like, absolute one-sided stomp. And then game 2 was that absolute one-sided stomp. Mm-hmm. But then game 3, it all kind of came together. And, you know, there were some mistakes made by the blue team, but other than that, it was a completely winnable game throughout the entire affair towards the very end, where, unfortunately, like, they just got picked off one by one in a choke. And, you know, unfortunate way for it to end, a little bit anticlimactic, but at least it was much better than games 1 and 2. So good progression and very enjoyable to watch. Absolutely.
And Koso?
Yeah, I wish all the players good luck in their next split. Maybe they want to pursue this game full time. Maybe they want to keep improving. I've definitely seen some improvements from all of these players, actually, from last split till now. And that's pretty much it.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much to both of you for joining me here on the desk. I know I had a blast listening and learning from both of you, and I hope the viewers did as well. Of course, I have been Hawk. Joining me has been Prussian and Koso. But don't go anywhere because, of course, after just a short break, we do have an interview lined up with Perry Jungle to break down this series. So don't go anywhere.
Thank you very much, Hawk, and welcome to the interview, Perry. Was such a pleasure to see you in that game, so we're going to get right into it. First of all, how are you feeling after that 3-0 sweep?
I mean, the first 2 games were quite good. Third game was, you know, all right. We were kind of having fun, but overall, I feel pretty good after those games. So.
Yeah. All right. So first question here. First 2 games were not even close. Absolute stomps. Third game was a lot closer. Were you expecting those first 2 games to be as stompy as they were? Or were you expecting these games to be closer to that third game?
I think that the third game should have actually been a stomp. We were kind of not really I don't know, we were kind of trolling comms and trolling the whole game. So that third game should have been done way easier. But yeah, I mean, looking at like the players, I think that there might have been a sort of imbalance. But aside from that, I mean, we kind of did expect that to happen. So yeah, we have a lot of confidence on our team.
Interesting that you should say. I know that the analysts, I think the last game was the only game where they were kind of split on how the things went, and they kind of didn't like the draft that came in. But
okay, yeah.
I mean, if you guys are playing around, it kind of didn't show because that was the closest series by far there. But I do want to talk a little bit about you, Perry. Game 1, your Trundle pick, really good map control kind of took over. Your game 2, Kane with the 3 buff to start, or 3 quadrant to start, caused the early FF really almost directly there. And then your Lee Sin in game 3. Hawk wanted us to ask you, what went through your mind when you picked that Lee Sin? Is that you trying to flex on Jason Jungle? Like, here's the champion you couldn't play game 1 and game 2.
I mean, I've been putting work on Lee Sin over time, but it's definitely like, I wanted to show Jason. I mean, Jason and I are friends, we're buddies, so it's like we got a lot of banter going on, so showing him that I can play Lee Sin is good. Yeah, it's fun, so definitely.
Yeah, you're friends now. I don't know after tonight.
Yeah.
Might have to go talk to Jason after that. But considering your performance tonight, what would you rate yourself? Because from our perspective, it looked like a 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10 style performance for you. How do you think it went?
I definitely think that there were a lot of mistakes happening. A lot of like, I'd say decision errors, especially the third game. Even the first game had a few questionable choices. I was not really farming camps all that well. But overall, I think that I need a little bit more work on a few things here and there. But I think I'm getting more to a standard level of being a consistent and good player. So we're really close to being there.
Okay, for sure. I mean, I'd say that's a fair statement considering how a lot of what went down tonight went. Now, in regards to comms and teamwork, because Amateur Arena, you're no stranger to it here. It's a bunch of people mashed together. But I noticed on your team tonight, yourself, Shochi, Minui are all on the same team. I think I've seen you guys practice under the coach Draxler, is it?
Yes, it's Draxler, yeah.
Yeah, so how were comms tonight different from normal? Was it better than usual, or would you just say it's about normal and you guys just were the better team mechanically and so got away with it?
I mean, it was a little bit of both. I think we are kind of mechanically better, and at the same time, the work we all have together. Like I've played with Winter, I've played with Shochi and Minui. The only person I haven't played with was Srtty, but my ADC and support I've played with them, so we all have like really really nice synergy and really nice comms. And overall, like our comms together as the three core jungle, mid, and ADC were really easy, really natural, really normal, and yeah, it kind of just made everything really really smooth throughout the games. So
fair enough. Now, you said that tonight had quite a few, miscommunications, little errors that you'd like to fix. So I wanted to give you an opportunity. Is there anything you feel like that you didn't get to show tonight that you'd love an opportunity to get to show?
I think that overall everything. I mean, I think the Lee Sin actually. I wanted like another game on Lee Sin, another shot on that because the early didn't go as planned, and then the game kind of got a little rough here and there. So another game on Lee Sin is definitely something I want to show. I played kind of poorly that game, so there's that. And I mean, I got the Kane game in, and we got the hard Kane stomp. So
Yes.
I mean, that's what I need to show. Like they have to respect Van de Kane always. Like they leave it open, I'm playing it. So.
All right, to close out the interview, are there any shout-outs you would like to give? Anything you'd like to say while you have the attention of the camera? Anything you'd like to say to prospective teams and coaches as well?
I just want to say shout out to Draxler and like my team that I'm playing on. Like he's been coaching me throughout these like past few months, and Jason Jungle. He might have got ran today, but we're still buds. So yeah.
All right. Thank you very much for joining us for the interview. And that is all the time we have for tonight's broadcast of the Amateur Arena, brought to you by AOE Esports. But we have another matchup tomorrow night, so you won't want to miss that. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here on the Esports AOE Twitch channel. But until then, from everyone here at AOE Esports, admins, production team, our broadcast coordinator, Shells, our production person of the night, Benjamins, my name is Finnick, that's been RMC, and we will see you next time around.